Good afternoon. Welcome to day 5 here of the 2024 iQFOiL European Championships here in beautiful Cagliari in Sardinia. My name is Sandy and I'm joined here in the booth by Mr. Rafferty Reid. Rafferty, talk us through it. What's going on?
As you said, day 5 is in. And it's looking like we're going to be greeted by a little bit of wind as well. We had in the morning, again, everyone was thinking, oh, was it going to happen? Will the wind come through? And it has come through. I'm looking out and currently right here, we're a bit far away from the race area, but there's probably 10, 12 knots around here, so we're definitely going to get some racing going. Bit contrasting to the previous 2 days, actually, as we had no racing at all. That third day was riddled with storms, wasn't it? Loads of rain. Only went to like mega wind and zero wind again, and then yesterday it was another beach day, but no storms, just sun, but again no wind. But today is looking epic, so all you guys tuning in now's the day for it. We're going to get ready for some epic racing here in Cagliari.
Absolutely, and we are down to the business end of the European Championships, aren't we? You know, this is the penultimate day. This is the last day for the majority of the fleet before we move into those medal races tomorrow, where only the top 10 for the men and the women. So it is a very important day, isn't it, Rafferty?
It certainly is. As you said, it is all pressure, all focus towards that day tomorrow, those medal races tomorrow, because there is where the European titles will be determined for this year, and anyone inside that top 10 does have a shot at that. So the people kind of 8 to 12, maybe up to 15th, will be all trying their very best to get inside of that top 10. And as we've only had 2 days of racing, so not the most amount of races throughout, and it's all been slalom so far, so the points are all extremely close. So we will be seeing everyone pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really exciting scenarios, and we actually had a chance to catch up with the class manager, Gonzalo Costa-Hovel, about the upcoming action earlier today.
This place, Cagliari, is actually a very well-known windsurfing spot. It actually generated a lot of great windsurfers. Obviously, Marta Marchetti, she's from here. She was gold medalist in Marseille. Conditions are really good. We actually have the Mistral wind coming, slightly offshore wind, which is really flat and very easy to sail, but it's kind of a gusty but really nice wind, like 20 knots average most of the time. And then we have this onshore condition, more sea breeze condition that it happens often. That's what we had on the first couple of days, which is kind of a completely different condition, right? Onshore light breeze, so not many shifts. So coming to the end of this event, we expect this Mistral wind, so we can expect some good action, some high speeds. So that keeps it obviously a little more fast and exciting for them to compete on. Yeah, so this event is quite unique. It's kind of our big event after the games. We have some sailors coming from the Olympic Games in a pretty relaxed mode, right? They picked up at the games, so they were really training really hard, obviously this year and the last years, and they came here obviously to be part of the event and not to feel that they are being left out, and as well maybe to not to have such a drastic drop. So they are here, but they are pretty relaxed mode, right? They're not expecting much from this event in their results. Obviously they're performing really well, but then contrary to that, we have a lot of young hungry athletes that are trying to perform really well. For a lot of them, having a good result here means funding for next year. You know, obviously you get top 3, top 5, top 8, you know, these quota places actually enable you to access some funding for the future years, right? So it's a big deal. Of course, it's a European Championship. We obviously take it very seriously, and all the athletes are taking it very seriously. So it's an important event. We're coming up to the second to last day. We have a very good forecast, so we can expect doing the amount of races, the maximum amount of races we are planning, so 5. We can probably have 5 course races, and then that will decide who's entering the medal race, which will happen on Friday, right? So our system of medal races is the top 10 going into the medal race, where the leader of the event goes automatically to a final of 3, then the second and third are going automatically to a semi-final, and then from the 4th to the 10th they fight it out on the quarterfinal, and 2 sailors advance to the semi, and then 2 sailors advance to the final, right? So it's an elimination medal format, and as well whoever wins that final is the winner of the Europeans, right? So our European champion is the one crossing that finishing line on first on that very last race of the event, right? So it's a very exciting format. It's what we had at the games. It was a lot of emotions there, and we have it here, of course. So get ready for the next couple of days where they're going to be packed with action.
As class manager Gonzalo Costa-Hovel said, it is all pressure and everyone will be trying to get into those medal races tomorrow. As he said, there's a few focuses at this event actually. Yes, we do have those people fresh for the Olympics. You know, they've really put in a big stint around the past few years, and it's been that kind of cool down event, the first one of the next cycle. And then we also have those younger youths and the juniors. Well, maybe a few juniors, and then also the youths coming through. Maybe the first few seniors coming through, and then really trying to make their place within this competition. But yes, as we're going towards that event schedule of the competition.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, we are on day 5 at the moment. Rafferty mentioned briefly earlier. So day 3 and 4 of the event. Sadly, we had some stormy conditions and then a bit of the leftovers of that yesterday, which kind of meant no wind, you know, really sort of close, quite humid. But today, yeah, we've been greeted with some really nice sort of offshore conditions. Looking out from where we are, it looks like the guys are racing. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great afternoon of action. And leading up into that final day, the most important, so it'll be the top 10 men, top 10 women going through into those all-important medal races. And the unique thing about those medal races is it really is anyone can find themselves on that podium, whether you're going into it in 10th place or first place. So it offers a really exciting finale for any of these events. But we had some great action in the first 2 days, so let's take a look at some of the highlights from then.
One word, fun racing. Actually, too.
We have been smashing out the slalom races here at the competition so far. It's been speedy, it's been fast, and maybe we'll get some course racing in now, but maybe even some slalom as well. But it is all still quite close. 8 races done for the women and 6 currently for the men. So it is still quite close together.
Yeah.
It's all very tight and stuff, but for sure we will be adding some more races towards today. But as we said, let's have a look at the current standings going into day number 5.
Absolutely. So on the women's side, I mean, just looking at the points, look how close it is at the top, especially positions 3 and 4. Maya Giesler having a really, really good time in the first couple of days, but Isla Watson putting in an incredible performance. We had a chance to chat to her yesterday, said she was, over the last little while, she's been very much training with Emma Wilson and things, but obviously with Emma taking a bit of a break after the Olympics, Isla's kind of really stepped into her own a little bit, not to say she wasn't already before, but I think, all that training with an Olympic medal winner has obviously definitely helped her out, and yeah, she's finding herself at the top of the standings. So yeah, really, really impressive. Taking a little look further down, Sarah Wenikus as well. She's one of those athletes that's here on that kind of cool down phase, like you were saying earlier. They've come to the end of this big Olympic campaign, kind of viewing this as a bit of a reset button and just to get out on the water and do some racing. So it is that really interesting mix that we're seeing at the event here, and actually it's kind of the youth that are really pushing through, isn't it, Rafferty?
It certainly is. I mean, some of the youth in this, we've got Maya Giesler. She is, I think she's still a youth, actually. I think she's still under 19, but definitely down that lower end. But she is doing insane currently through this competition. Didn't quite have the best day on the first day, but her second day was insane, winning every single race, and that pushed her right up into it. And we also have Manon Pianazza in that 9th place position. She was last under 21 world champion, so again, and also, what someone to look at as well down that bottom in 12th, Mina Mobek. She was last year's European champion, so she'll be really trying to push into that top 10 to maybe have a shot at the 2024 European Championship title, and then moving over to the men.
Yeah, moving over to the men, Luca Di Tomasi having a really, really dominant performance, in those first couple of days, performing really, really well, and he's seeing himself sitting up there. But look how close the points are in that top 5, especially that top 4. Second, third and fourth all sitting on exactly the same amount of points. Again, we got a chance to talk to Matthew Barton in the booth yesterday. He was all good vibes. He was very just stoked to be here. Again, he's kind of been on, the Olympic campaign, helping Emma Wilson as well and things like that. So he's kind of excited to just get his feet back in the straps, a foil back under his feet and get out on the water himself. And he said he's been sort of really, really enjoying that. Looking down, just going down to that cut line quickly, Luke van Opzielen sitting in 11th place. He had a bit of a tough time at the start of this event, but he's definitely going to be looking to come out swinging today as we get to the end of the event.
Hopefully so, and he's another one who's has had a big time up
Absolutely.
Until now. I mean, if you didn't know, Luke van Opzielen, he got the bronze medal at the Olympics, so he has got what it takes to definitely be right at the top. He's been world champion in the past, and he's always been right up to the top, so he will be hoping to get up into the top 10 as well, as all the rest will be trying to stay inside that top 10. But it is all on today, and we will hopefully be getting underway with racing very, very soon.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, Rafti, I think you had a chance this morning to go and have a chat to some of the athletes who are kind of sitting around that cut line, where they could be qualifying for the medal races. So let's check out that interview now.
I'm excited actually to race because we didn't do much the last 2 days. We were just sitting on the beach, so I want to send it today. It's 5 races all in to make it to the top 10.
My goal for today is to try and stay in the top 10. It would be my first time in the top 10, so that would be really exciting. Strategy hasn't really changed. I've kind of gone into this event trying to have as much fun as possible. And hopefully today we get some course racing, so I'd actually really like to see how I do course racing.
Hello, I'm Bernard. I'm now in 12th position, and I'm going to stay in the tempo position. I feel the pressure, and yeah, I'm going to push a lot to enter it.
Well, I'm feeling the pressure today. Well, it's not super important for me, this event, but it would be nice to get one more race done. I have a bit of a disc hard I'm sitting on, so it would be great if for some reason it's not clearing up. We get some racing going today, so that'd be good. But I'm not too nervous, like it's not a super important event for me. But to be honest, after 2.5 days on the beach, it would be great to get something going, do a bit of sailing. That's what I came here for, so yeah, hopefully we get it going today.
No, because now it's a windy day, so we are sure to do some races, so we are super excited to go on the water. Yes, now it's completely different because the wind is completely different than the other days, so we need to be focused and it's a new day, so enjoy.
Great to get some insights there from some of the guys who are sitting right on that cut line. You know, that's almost got to be one of the most stressful positions to be in, especially coming into day 5, you know, getting so close, you know, towards it. And in that sort of 11th, 12th position, it really is all down to the wire to try and make it into that top 10 before tomorrow.
Certainly is, certainly is. It is game on as we seeing some of the riders around that committee boat. But let's take a look at the competition area here in the south of Sardinia in Cagliari. It is a dreamy, dreamy spot. As we said, we are in the south of Sardinia in Italy. That's where you see that little red arrow. That is exactly where we are in the booth right now. And we come out, the riders come out from the corner, down the left-hand corner where that water is a lovely, dreamy blue. Fun fact as well, you see those salt lakes on the top left of the screen? They've got some flamingos around there, which is pretty cool. But then going off onto that sea area, that you see that box, that's where we will be racing, where the European Championships of the iQFOiL is currently taking place. We've got a lot of people on the beach, you know, cruising, having a lovely beach day, watching the iQFOiL windsurfers razzing out there, seeing the action, seeing the racing and seeing the adrenaline. And for sure, I mean, personally, all of us watching and everyone else watching on the beach would love to get involved with this, because they just see how epic it is as we're going on to the first race of the day for the women.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, as you can see, this is the 9th race of the event so far, with 8 races completed for the women. All slalom so far. I believe, looking like the way they're setting this up, I think it is going to be slalom again. As you know. No, just had confirmation. No, we are doing course racing. So the first course races of the event so far. This is where it's going to see, you know, some real mix-ups, some real interesting. Obviously, some of the riders are a lot more confident and happy with the kind of slalom racing. Some of the other riders, perhaps they're a little bit more confident on the foil tacks, you know, things like that. There's a lot of different tactics that go into, you know, getting those upwind legs as well. I think we're going to see some really, really interesting racing coming up here as we get towards that start line.
It is game on. So as we said, it will be course racing. So it starts with an upwind start. You can see them all starting to speed up, getting onto their foils, building up the speed, and hopefully going to be hitting that gun at the 0-0 mark. Where is that 0? And off they pop. All very interesting. We've got a big, really big group starting off on port. So remember, so the people on the bottom of our screen going up onto the left side of the screen will be having to keep clear of all the people. Oh, look at all this. Cool, blimey, it's an absolute mess in here. But it is Sardinia going for a huge little port flyer. And has she made it? She has indeed made that port flyer. That is going to put her currently with the best start in this race here on day number 5. Will she be able to keep that lead towards the upwind mark? We will see very soon.
Absolutely. Really, really interesting to see there, Rafferty. As you mentioned, usually in these course racing in the starts, generally they tend to all go out on starboard because of that bias. You've got to be so careful going on port, but Sardinia just doesn't look like many of the other guys have managed to kind of get that line that she managed to take there. Really, really impressive from her, as we see some of the other riders making their way up now towards that first mark.
But there we are. This is the group that went off on starboard, off onto the left side of the course. Why did they decide to go off onto the left side? It is indeed, it's Lorena Abicht, Austria 28, leading the pack off onto the left side of the course. Could she be there? Yeah, she's looking really, really cruisy at the minute. And then also GBR 667, that is Jenny Roberts, also having a great start, but it is very tight between this top group. If we draw a line horizontal to vertical, on the screen, that is where the kind of leaders are. That's whoever's in front of that line will be in the lead, because this is the upwind leg. So they're all diagonally making their way up to that top wind mark, because the diagonal ways upwind is the fastest route. But there we have a very interesting manoeuvres there. Spain just doing a pretty early tag, making Poland swerve a little bit, but there we are back Oh, look at the waters, what some racing. We have sick to getting some racing going here on day number 5 of 2 days of unfortunately no wind, but now we are game on. Jenny Roberts sending it out onto the left side of the course, GBR 667. What a cruise, how good does that look, Sandy?
Yeah, that looks amazing. She somehow has seen, it looks like she's really managed to catch a little gust there. You know, we are dealing with offshore conditions, so from where we're sitting, Rafferty, so as you can see, it may be quite hard for you guys to see on screen, but it is offshore here, and as you know, with offshore wind comes lots of gusts, lots of headers, so it is really about employing those tactics as much as possible, especially on that upwind leg, to make sure that you're utilising every gust that you can to try and get as far upwind as possible. And it is that fine line, isn't it, Rafferty, between kind of carrying that board speed and also having a good enough angle to make it upwind.
It certainly is. It's all about that VMG within the course racing. It's a balance between how high you can point upwind, but also with your speed. So the lower you point upwind, the faster you go. However, the higher you the point upwind, the slower you go. But it means the route of your course is shorter. So these riders really have to think about which is the best way, which is the best VMG, and also which is the best VMG compared to their competitors up to the course. But here we are going toward, they are making their way up to that upwind mark. Here the crosses will be starting, but Jenny Roberts on our screens at the minute looking like she's currently having a really good race, but we can also see that it is quite gusty. You see, she's a bit not the most stable at the minute. Her sail is going a bit up and down, just adjusting to that gusts to ensure that she has the best VMG going.
Yeah, look like you can see there, she had to go a lot further across. You can see now she's coming much more further to the left hand side of your screen. She definitely headed into a bit of a patchy bit of wind there. You can kind of see it on the water as well, the kind of darker patches, which are the gusts coming through. But as you can see here on the screen, Sara Venikas, she has lost a couple of places there. We've got Israel 3 on the left hand side and Croatia 9 there making their way up, and it looks like Israel 3 here, they are making their way towards that top mark before they head back down. And we have the live speeds up on the left hand side of the screen. So you can see there, it's very common, isn't it, Rafferty, for the iQFOiL equipment. It's so efficient, you can easily be doing up to kind of double the wind speed.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking outside, it's not actually that windy at the minute, but these guys are going so fast and showing how efficient and fast this equipment is. But it is Shahar Tibi looking like she currently has the lead, and this is really important for Shahar at the minute, Israel 3, as she is currently lying 10th overall, so she is on that cutoff to that top 10 tomorrow. Currently, you know, she's in 10th, she is safe. However, well, safe enough, but you know, like being in that 10th spot, you're
still
not
a nervous
safe.
position to be in, isn't it? Yeah, it's, you know, you're kind of safe, you're in there, you've qualified. I guess you're almost sitting there hoping that it's not going to be windy today, so that you just carries over. But yeah, you're right. She's, you know, sitting in that kind of even positions 8 to 10 is where you really need to be trying to hold on to that as much as possible as we move into the medal races tomorrow.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, you know, there is that certain aspect today, because there is a bit more wind, we can do the course racing. There will be certain athletes that will be a bit more accustomed, a bit more comfortable with the kind of upwind sailing compared to some of the others who maybe prefer that kind of slalom format. And as we are seeing them making their way up, so they will now head down past that top mark there as the most of the fleet begins to make their way round.
This is a great shot. We can really see how gusty the conditions are out here, making it extremely tricky. And this is very well illustrated that a lot of these riders have decided to take different ley lines up on the course. You know, they're not all in an exact line. Some have decided to take a risk and go a bit earlier to make a shorter course. Some have gone a bit safe to go higher up the course to ensure that they do make that mark. But there we are, the majority of this fleet now rounding that upwind. They will be then sending it downwind as we're seeing it here. All deciding to jibe off quite early. Maybe there's a little bit more wind on the left side, but we see in the distance there's a big gust. There is a lot of wind down there, but the wind is certainly picking up now, isn't it, Sandy?
It definitely is picking up, yeah. And I mean, that is something that the locals say, you know, you do get this kind of thermal effect, despite it is quite sunny here today, you know, but it is generally around, it's coming up on 3 o'clock local time here, so you know, it is around that sort of time in the afternoon that we really kind of tend to see the wind pick up. And I mean, taking a look at the speeds that we're getting here, you know, that's definitely what we're saying. I reckon it's 10, maybe 12 knots in the gust. And look at the speed. So Shahar Tibi currently still leading 24.8 knots, hitting almost 25 knots in only 12 knots of wind as they make their way down. And Rafti as well, maybe you can speak to this. As they make their way down, it's that fine line as well, much like going upwind. They don't want to point too far downwind because they will start to lose that board speed. But also, again, like you said, it's about finding the shortest line possible between the marks, right?
Exactly. It is, as we go back to it, is all about that VMG. Getting that balance right between angle towards the mark and also speed. And adding some gusty conditions here, gusty, switchy conditions, makes that a very, very tricky skill to master. But, you know, this is the European Championships. This is one of the most pinnacle events within the calendar, you know, continental championships. This is an important one for all the riders. You know, as we said, some of the riders are on that kind of cool-off period from the games after a very intense 4 years, but this is also the start of the next cycle for a lot of, well, for all these riders actually. So they will be wanting to start that with an absolute bang. But there we are. It is still Shahar Tibi, Israel 3, just rounding that bottom mark now, deciding to go back off onto the left side of the course. It looks like she's actually gained a little bit, extended her lead. What a cracking downwind from her.
Absolutely, yeah, really, really impressive. You can see, you know, she really separated herself up from the pack. Sara Venika's very much still in contention there. I think that was her. She was the third person or second person to round the mark. But yeah, you're staying still most of the fleet still making their way down towards it. And it's an interesting point you raised there, Rafti. You know, the windsurfing and the iQFOiL, you know, it is that kind of fine line, isn't it, of like being in control of your gear and knowing what's going on there, but also reading the conditions, especially when it's offshore and in conditions like this, you know, reading that and looking out for any sort of gusts that you can see that are going to help you make a little bit of room, whether it's upwind or downwind.
Certainly. And when you add a load of riders in it as well, you know, we've got so many riders. We've got 46 entries for the women within this competition, 46 all racing on the same course. So you have the gusts, you have the shifts, you have also all the people around you. So you can't just sail the same, like most of the time, you can't just sail the exact course you want to, because you need to position yourself correctly between all the other riders. Whichever, if you're at the front, like Shahar is currently leading this, she will be on that defensive kind of tactic, this defensive gameplay at the minute. But if you're towards the back and trying to gain, you are all about attacking. How can I take over the person in front of me? How can I take over 10 people, 20 people? And maybe if you're right at the back, overtake 46 people and take the lead. But who knows? But it is Shahar Tibi decided to tack straight away. Netherlands 33, looks like Sarah has put in a good one as well, but a little bit further, yeah, right.
I think that was Sarah who just tacked on the kind of left-hand side of the screen there. So yeah, they've managed to get going just a little bit earlier than the rest of the fleet. As they make their way down towards the next mark. Yeah, that's Shahar Tibi there, pumping a little bit there. So obviously going into a little bit of a lull there, wanting to keep it. But and as well with the iQFOiL, Rafti, you can kind of speak to this. You know, it's all about pumping that sail, but it's also about pumping the board, right?
Yeah, there's a couple different power points that you get through the iQFOiL equipment. Obviously, you have the sail that catches the wind and harness the wind energy through the board and into the foil, and in the foil you have that gives you power going through the water, as that gives you lift. So it's all about balancing. The whole game is basically a whole counterbalance, how you can use that power to make you go faster up the course and hopefully win some races. But there we go, Shahar Tibi, 26 years of age. She, as we said, she's currently 10th overall, so leading this race she will be extremely happy to hopefully make her a little bit safer within that top 10.
Absolutely, and as you can see, been in 6 medal races before, so this is nothing really new to her, you know, and she will be really looking to cement getting through into her 7th medal races tomorrow. So yeah, off to a flying start. You know, it does seem like her and Sara Venika's Netherlands 33, they've really separated themselves up from the rest of the pack. Sara obviously with a really, really great start, opting to go off on that kind of port tack side, which is often can be a bit of a disadvantage, because obviously you have to give way to anybody on starboard, and especially with that upwind start line, that can be a bit of a risk, but it definitely paid off for Sara. But yeah, so these two, you know, really, really far away. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the distance. So that is the distance from the leader. So you can see Sarah kind of closing in a little bit on Shahar, and then everyone else. So yeah, Israel 2 in third position, just a little bit further away. So you can see what's happening now. Basically, the riders are making their way back upwind again before they will go round that mark one last time. So you can see there is a little bit of distance, but not much between this top two. And there's Israel 2 just overtaken Shahar Tibi as well, who has just opted to tack. So maybe she saw a bit of a gust, a bit of a header there that may have worked for her.
Yeah, well, it all depends where that upwind mark is. We can't quite see it at the minute, but it is all about that ley line. But there we are, Israel 2 deciding to put in the tack there. So Daniela Peleg, Israel 2, hasn't quite made that ley line as well, but Sarah as well putting in a little tack. So where is that upwind mark? Clearly
tacked into a bit of a lull there for Sarah, didn't quite come round there. Talk me through, how important is it to try and to be doing these foil tacks? You know, it's still kind of fairly new within the discipline, but most of the riders tend to be making quite a few of them now. But how important is being able to do that? Oh, nice one there from Sarah.
Yeah, cracking tack there, fully plating and all, but the tack is a really, really important part of the whole race, you know, of the course racing anyway, going upwind, because attack is where you lose most ground, around maybe 15 to 20 meters. So if you can ensure that your tack is as fast as possible, gain a little bit upwind, then you can make sure you don't lose that ground as well. So again, that adds into the ley lines. How can you put in the least amount of tacks, but also how can you do it fastest? As you said, the foiling tacks has just come into it really. At the start of the iQFOiL class and start of wind foiling full stop really, everyone was thinking, yeah, a foiling tack, no chance at all. Then one or two people started doing a duck tack, which, I mean, a duck tack is pretty impossible on the IQ kit because it's really big. The duck tacks were only possible really on really small equipment. However, the foiling tacks on IQ class has come into it the past year or couple of years or so. I mean, we might see one here.
Wind line almost. So kind of almost riding the foil. You can see there, I mean, probably looking for a line to be able to jibe there, but kind of already had her back foot out of the foot strap, kind of sitting right over the middle of the board, right over the foil almost, and kind of just trying to ride the foil as much as possible to try and keep that line as short. And then I think that is Shahar Tibi there. We got a bit of a drag race on our hands here as they are making their way down towards that final mark. Or is anything to play for here as we see Sarah Venekus and then the rest of the pack there in the background. You can really get a sense here. You can see that the wind has definitely picked up a little bit. As Rafferty said earlier, they are quite far out. I think they're almost a couple of kilometers out to sea. So actually it does make the wind a little bit more consistent that we've got right here on the shoreline. But it is definitely feeling a little bit stronger than it was earlier.
It is picking up. It is consistently picking up. And now it is, I mean, it's safe to say it's pretty blowy out there actually. But it is Sarah. Just snatched the lead of Shahar there. Really showing how it's done, but not much separates these two riders at all. Really showing how it's done, but not much separates these two riders at all. This is actually a drag race towards the finish. Good grief, look at the speed. They're pretty powered up now. Both riders deciding to have their back foot out of the strap, really ensuring that just they don't do a holy moly moment and crash. But it is Sarah Venekus taking the lead, taking the win for the first race, followed by Shahar Tibi. What a little stint that was.
That was a great battle fought there between the two of them. Sarah Venekus had that lead initially, lost it to Shahar Tibi for the majority of the race, but just on that final downwind there, just really picked a great ley line, got round that mark first, and then that drag race to the finish. That was beautiful. As we see the rest of the riders making their way past, going over that finish line, making their way past the boat at the end.
Indeed, that was
great race there, really great race.
Indeed, it certainly was. As we see Maya now just coming across the line now, Palmer in there as well, who's I can't quite make out the numbers quite.
I think that was Maya in 8th position there, just or according to the stats on the left hand side. But we'll just wait for a confirmation for crossing the line. But as you can see there's definitely a bit of wind out there.
There is certainly a bit of wind, but also a little bit of swell coming through. If you can see the waves, there is rolling through, coming out from the sea on the top left of the side. All the riders coming, Zara Rosaboom coming towards the finish and finishing through there now. Also one of the Polish as well. But you can see this was that was the first race of day number 5. What a lovely one. But it
Absolutely.
was Sarah
Yeah.
taking the lead. We saw Shahar.
Start line there, yeah. Really, I'd love to know. Maybe they just saw a better angle in the wind. All of the guys choosing to go off on port tack.
Yeah, I mean, we did see a big group starting off on that port tack, didn't we? I mean, as you said, it would be interesting to see why that was. Maybe there was a line bias. Maybe there was more wind on one of the sides. But it was Sarah having a very good start and consistently keeping her lead towards that. But there we are, Shahar taking the lead in that race at that first upwind mark. There, look at Palmo just coming through with it. Oh, that is carnage though. Look at it, all those 46 women in this European Championships. There is that top mark, and Shahar still putting in the park. Where was the best gusts coming through? There you can see, I mean, Sarah in the background there, she's in a gust, and then Shahar putting in that tack there. But I mean, maybe that was the point where Sarah got it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was that kind of second upwind mark. She maybe got round a bit earlier. You know, and again, it's just taking that ley line, and so much of it depends on you kind of analysing the conditions around you. Like you said, Rafty, there's so many variables when you're out there. You've got to be consistently thinking about what you're doing with your equipment and adjusting that as you go, but then also looking at what the conditions are doing, and of course what other people are doing as well, making sure that you're obeying the rules there. To me, this was where it really changed. It was this downwind line. You could see there was a bit of a drag race here, and she just picked that perfect angle to get round that mark really quickly. She took a super deep angle, and this is it here, coming round that final mark just ahead of her. And once it's there, it goes down to that across the wind drag race, and generally, unless somebody messes up, usually the person in front tends to be able to kind of stick it.
Indeed, but it is all about that pushing. I mean, at that bottom mark, how many board lengths? There's maybe 2 board lengths,
Nothing
1 board length.
Absolutely nothing.
So I mean, anything was possible there, as we have seen in the past. That last reach, a lot has happened in certain racing. People being safe, people pushing to the absolute max. But there's also where we can see some people maybe finding the limit and going over the limit when they're going full speed on that reach. But there we are, going to that committee boat for the women. LR2. What does that show? That shows the riders what course we will be doing. So it's 2 laps. Well, it's the 2 upwinds, and then it's that windward leeward course. And then we also have that red flag up on the boat. That signifies that we are doing course racing, and the big A because we have the 1 fleet for the women racing.
Absolutely, and I've just got confirmation coming through here. Obviously, we saw the top 10 of that race, but Isla Watson came in 12th in that, so currently leading. So didn't do too badly. But yeah, you know, hopefully that'll still kind of keep her chances of. It's not necessarily about maintaining that first place, is it, Rafty, going into it? I mean, ideally you want to, of course, but realistically you just want to stay.
Yeah, because within that top 3, if you go in first to that medal races, you already have a guaranteed medal. Yeah, a guaranteed podium position. If you come in second and third, you have a guaranteed top 5 position. So they are still really trying to ensure that they stay in those top 2 positions, because however high up you are in that top 10 does give you a better opportunity at getting that European.
It just makes that medal race day just a lot easier, doesn't it? But it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because we've seen it in the past, you know, with other events and things like that. Some riders like to be able to kind of sit back, relax a little bit. Some of them like to kind of take to the course, you know, early and almost in that kind of positions 4 to 10 and be able to get out there and get a feel of it, a sense of what the wind is doing, you know, a sense of how the conditions are working before they kind of you know, jump out onto the race course. So yeah, interesting to see that. But yeah, Isla Watson coming in 12th in that race there. So yeah, let's wait and see how this plays out as we make our way towards the business end of the European Championships here in Cagliari. And looking there, as you said earlier, there is a little bit of swell out there. What does the swell mean for these athletes?
Can mean a few things, really. Obviously, when it's dead flat, they don't really have to think about the foil height. Well, Obviously do, but you know, the water state isn't changing, so they can ensure that they are on the most optimal height throughout. You know, higher on the foil means a bit less drag, so they want to be high on the foil. However, with the swell, they have to ensure that they are at optimal height through the waves. So you know, you can be up and down over the waves, trying to be right at the top of that swell, just to ensure that you can be the fastest possible. But there we go, going to those live conditions, 12 to 14 knots. Yeah, I think that's about right. It's certainly picked up a little bit. Prime course racing conditions, really to ensure that they put in the best tactics. Not like you can just bang one corner and be all right, you know, and get out of any tricky situations. You need to ensure that you are in the right position possible, tack at the right times, and there's a good shot of the state here in Cagliari. What a splendid location.
Absolutely, yeah, really interesting points there, especially around the fact that it is, yeah, that sort of 12 to 14 knots, but it's also so important. Sometimes when it's windier, you can kind of get away with a few more mistakes, can't you? And you can kind of almost opt into being the passenger rather than the pilot. You can kind of let the gear take you, and you can kind of relax a bit more, especially in the transitions. Things like the jibing and especially the foil tacking, having a bit more power to counterbalance against can really help in those transitions, and you know, you can make a bit more of an impact. But as the wind is kind of still on that lighter side, it does mean you really have to be present, really be the pilot, and you don't want to put a single foot wrong
on it. Yeah, you need to be on it non-stop. But yeah, now the riders will just be getting prepared for their race number 2 of day 5 here at the European Championships. They've just completed their first race of the day. It was a great one. We saw some interesting results there. Shahar Tibi in that 10th place, getting that second position. That will really be putting her in a good place. As you know, it is all down to that top 10. All these riders will be trying to push into that top 10 for those medal races tomorrow. For the majority of these riders, this will be their last day, so they will be pushing to the max. But also for those top 10 riders, they will just be wanting to ensure they can stay inside that top 10 and maybe progress up into that top 3 for the medal races tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a wider angle here, and as you can see, those sort of gusts kind of coming down. You can see they're all kind of hanging around the committee boat, and as you can see, we've got just over 4 minutes and 20 seconds left until that first start. So they're kind of making their way, and they're going to start thinking about where they want to sit now on that start line. You know, start thinking about you know, what sort of line they want to take. You know, in the previous race we saw it was very much an even split, wasn't it, among the fleet, with kind of them going half port, half starboard. You know, in terms of how they cross that line. Obviously, it's an upwind start, and they've got to be so careful, especially if you're going across in port, because that means you have to get out of the way of everybody on starboard. So in the previous race, we saw Sarah Venicus manage to just get up and ahead of everyone in the pack, but the rest of them potentially, you cannot get in the way of anybody on starboard tack. So if you're going to kind of cross with them, you are the one that needs to get out of the way. You need to either, you know, tack yourself around, or you need to go underneath them. And if you go underneath them, you're going to lose quite a lot of ground, because obviously the first leg of this course race is to get up to that top upwind mark. So it's a really important thing is getting that start line absolutely nailed. Obviously, Rafferty in the slalom, the start line is kind of, you know, across the wind, and that is so important to get as much board speed as possible. How important would you say the start line is in terms of the course racing as well?
It is still one of the most important aspects of the race. If you have a good start, it puts you in clean wind, it puts you exactly where you want to be, it gives you control over the rest of the fleet. But it is extremely hard to do a good start, especially when the fleet is this big, 46 riders all on the same start. And we saw Sarah doing it absolutely perfectly, but we saw how hard she was working. She was pumping really hard just to ensure that she has the best VMG upwind, the best speed and the best angle upwind. And she had a good start, and it put her in a really good place overall in that first race, clutching the dub. So You know, the start is one of the most important things. There's so many aspects that these riders have to think about the start, because it's not like it's not on land, you know. There's not a solid line that all the riders can see in the water. They have to imagine the line on that committee boat, and then to the pin end up. It's a bit up on the top of our screens. They have to imagine where that line is, and hopefully hit that 0-0 mark with full speed and full upwind to hopefully put them in a good place overall. But there we are, coming. It's women's race number 10. We will be keeping going for course racing here on day number 5.
So you can see there, they kind of, in the last couple of minutes, they went from all sort of sitting around the boat off the foils, you know, potentially consulting with coaches, consulting with the race committee, making sure that they've got the right timings, everything like that. And then suddenly now they're all kind of up on the foils, making their way out to the sort of fringes of that course line, and they're going to want to carry that board speed, aren't they? But of course, they do not want to go over early, do they?
No, certainly not over early. Because we see that flag, we see it's a red, well, it's just gone behind the boat, but it's a red and white kind of checkered flag. That means if you're over the start, you are disqualified.
Ooh.
Yeah, bit of a fruity one. So none of these riders want to be over the start, otherwise they're getting a last place. So a lot is riding on it. You know, it can give you a boost. It can put you at first at the start of the race, or it can put you, you know, stone cold last, and you don't even have a chance if you go over.
It's such a difficult one, isn't it? And I know some people may think it's quite harsh, but at the end of the day, you've kind of got to be with this. You know, it's literally a fundamental part of racing is that you cannot be going over that line early, and it can be a really difficult one because, like you said, Rafferty, they've got to kind of judge it a little bit by themselves, don't they? You know, it's not like a clearly defined, you know, sort of painted line on the ground, isn't it? Because we're on water here, exactly. So they've got to assess, you know, between these two boats where they can really sort of line themselves up and come across. And we can see it looks like we've got a bit of a split of the pack again, doesn't it?
Yeah, boy, it's looking like the majority are actually starting off on port again. Char Tibby still kind of waiting by that pin end, and there is that start. You know, you got to imagine that line coming up to the last 5 seconds. That it's going to be all go very, very soon. Will we be seeing any rules being put in place? Remember, the riders at the top of our screens do have right of way, so all the riders nearest our screen, they are going to have to keep clear, and here is where some of those crosses are going to be happening. But it's looking as if the riders all on starboard will be making it safe. A clear start from those riders, but it looks like Jenny having another good start, leading that pack up on to that right side, the left side. Manon Pianazza are off on our screens at the minute. France 7-1-2, and also Natasha Lapov, Cyprus 1 on our screens at the minute, with one of those Olympic sails again. Still got the Olympic rings as we just had the Paris Olympic Games.
Yeah, really interesting to see there. So a bit of a difference from that last race, again showing kind of potentially how different the conditions can be here. You know, a little bit gustier. You know, in the last race we saw very much it was the riders on port tack that made the most amount of ground. Sarah Venekas especially, you know, streets ahead of everybody else taking off on port. And in this one, the complete polar opposite. The whole pack that started on starboard had such a bias there and managed to really get themselves much further and up ahead of everyone else. So yeah, really, really interesting to see as we see them making their way up. It definitely looks like the wind has picked up. They're all, you know, looking at the wind speeds there, especially, the board speeds on the left-hand side of the screen there. So you can see they're all hitting that sort of 15, 16, 17 knots even as they make their way upwind. So typically they go a lot slower in the upwind. So yeah, impressive speeds to see here.
Certainly impressive speeds. Check 11 going off onto 11, maybe even leading this little pack here. That is indeed Katarina. Poland 230, Poland 122, both Ola and Maya on our screens as well, cruising upwind, as you said, around that 16-17 knot mark. Really speedy, but it's looking like these three riders here in a bit of a lull because the water around them is a bit more shiny. It's a bit more light of a shade. Oh, a little bit of a cross going on here. Ola just deciding to take that lower line, and Katarina in attack as well. Hopefully they get foiling straight away again, but this pack on the right side of the course, they're looking like they are in wind, in a good place on the course at the minute.
This is one of the things that's so exciting about the iQFOiL, isn't it? of course, there are some athletes that are more talented and more experienced and things like that. But so much of it is down to just being able to read the conditions. It's almost being open to reacting to these things happening around you, as well as being in control of the equipment. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. We're seeing a completely different group of athletes that are in that kind of top 5 than what we saw in race 9 that just finished as well. Because they just managed to read the wind a little bit better. And as you said, Rafferty, it's still so important in the course racing to get that good start, get across that line and make your way up to that top mark as quick as possible. I think we're slowly making our way up towards it. They should be heading round at any time now, especially the leaders, as you can see, Czech 11, Poland 2:30, having a little bit of a drag race, making their way up. Czech 11 with some real nice board speed there, just under 18 knots.
Certainly. I mean, they've got quite different positions though, actually, which is very interesting. Maybe Katarina Czech 11 has got maybe the little bit of a more upright mast, but it's looking like Maya Poland 230s have got a bit more cant on the board. So, I mean, that's another thing to touch on. There are lots of different techniques that these riders can do, whether they concentrate on one thing and then maybe compromise on the other thing. As we said there, they kind of cant on the board compared to the upright mast. The cant on the board pushes the board and the foil a little bit more upwind, but also the upright sail. Oh, well, let's talk about upright sails later, but it's looking like both Maya and Katarina have made a very good decision on going off onto the left side of the course as they're crossing
the whole pack.
This pack. Yeah, look at this cross going.
That's
looking
awesome.
like they could be in that first and second places, but it is all down to this tack, because remember, the pack coming towards us have done that tack already, so they have a bit of ground, but some safe tacks from both those riders there. A little bit of a touchdown from Katarina though, but she is back up onto that foil, making her way to that upwind mark.
It all depends on where that upwind mark is, doesn't it? If they've got the ley line right, but it depends whether the riders that are a little bit further down, all of the athletes on starboard tack there, if they have to throw in one more tack, it may be. And yeah, it looks like these guys, these two girls have made the perfect ley line. Looks like they will be crossing. It may be that the rest of the pack will have to throw in a couple more turns.
Possibly so. That looks so cool though. It's almost like it's a tour of Cagliari Bay. It's
absolutely
great, with everyone else on the course. It's so cool to see. Like all of these riders will be experiencing the same thing, getting to that mark, putting in the most power, harnessing the power of nature, the wind, to make their way around this sea at the minute. It's so cool. But there is that upwind mark. Will this Israeli rider be able to make it? She is pushing hard, just going up. And she's looking like she might have made it. Got a little gust at the end and really cruised out. God blimey, Israel 3
Shahar Tibi again.
Shahar getting that ley line absolutely spot on.
Really interesting tactics there. So what I noticed is she waited to carve up into the wind right till the end, so carried as much board speed as possible. It's that VMG you were talking about. Carried as much board speed in the last second, hooked right up into the wind and kind of rode the foil round it before turning the power back on in the sail. Really cool tactics there from Shahar Tibi, and again showing that experience.
Blimey. Hopefully they're all right. They had a massive little catapult there.
Yeah, a bit of a crash potentially there. I think it was not too sure which one of the other riders was. Can't quite see there, but yeah, bit of a collision there going on. Hopefully they're okay.
Yeah, indeed, but they are cranking downwind. Look at their positions at the minute, just trying to hold on to the power of the wind going into that sail at the minute. Good grief, but they've all decided to jibe pretty early and go off onto the left side of the course. I think that does mean there's a little bit more wind over there.
Definitely a little bit more wind on one side, as we see Shahar Tibi just sneaking in there. Just some incredible tactics at the top there, and she will be making her down. She's coming in for vengeance there. As we said, she was very much leading for the entirety of the last race 9 for the women. But then Sarah Wenikus with a brilliant start and then an amazing finish as well. Just managed to get past her at the bottom mark there.
And there is the replay. Oh, there's that. Oh, is it a collision? God blimey. But it is one of the Spanish riders just sending it round the front. Holy moly. Not quite what they're looking for.
So interesting there, Rafferty. I'm not sure if you can provide any insight there. Like, was there any, which of those riders kind of had right of way there? Because it looked like one of them was upwind, and then I think it was one of the Israeli riders, I think, sort of came round downwind, but kind of almost went into them. It was the Spanish rider, the catapult. Is there a situation there, or is it hard to call?
That is actually an extremely hard one to call, because Well, basically there has to be a touch. I didn't know if there was. We couldn't really see if there was a touch there, but also the Israeli rider was off the foil, and also she was on her way turning downwind. So that is actually a very tricky one to say. Will we be seeing a protest later? I mean, she definitely had a crash there and in the water. So
I'll be surprised if we don't.
Yeah, I mean, if she thinks there was a rule break there, we'll probably be seeing something later. But you know, these riders, there was nothing intentional there for sure. The Israeli rider was just trying to stay making her way back downwind.
Absolutely, yeah. It always gets so close at the any of the marks, doesn't it? As the majority of the pack make their way around, you know, it is kind of one of those things. Everyone gets quite close to each other, and we're seeing here they've come down to the gate at the very bottom. So as you can see, some of the riders opting to go round on each side there. So you know, throwing in that extra jibe, going round on that port tack end. I think we saw Shahar Tibi there. She was the first one down to the mark. She went round on the starboard end. So yeah, just didn't bother jibing, just came down straight round and making her way back up. I think that was Jen Roberts just going round there as well, GBR 667. So yeah, interesting tactics again, choosing to go off on different sides. So always keeping their heads on a swivel and taking a look at the conditions and what the gusts are kind of offering. As we've continued to say throughout it, we are dealing with offshore conditions, and I'm sure any of you out there that windsurf know offshore conditions means a lot of gusts. So they want to really try and maximise what they can and use them. They'll be coming at slightly different angles, especially in the course racing format, to help them get both upwind and downwind and kind of maximise their speed, but also the shortest line possible between the marks.
Exactly, but it is Shahar Tibi, Israel 3, leading this race again. Will she be able to clutch the dub? As we did say, she came into today in that 10th place position, so she'll be wanting to put in a good few races to hopefully gain inside that top 10 and have a shot at getting that European Championship title. I mean, she's, as we saw earlier on the stats, she did win a competition. She was last year's world champion at the Allianz World Sailing World Championships. So she certainly knows what it takes, as we see her on the screen at the minute. Oh, she's cruising up there, having an absolutely epic time. God,
absolutely, yeah. Looks like. I mean, looks like she's really managed to put some distance between herself and the rest of the pack there, Shahar Tibi. But I mean, you know, already coming away with a second in the last race. If she can get a good result today as in this race as well, race 10. Hopefully that's going to really stand her in contention to at least remain in the pack for the medal, in the top 10 for the medal races tomorrow, if not find herself climbing up those ranks a little bit. As you can see, there's some stats on the left hand side of the screen. So, you know, 6 medal races before. You know, she's done it plenty of times. There's no reason why she can't find herself in it again today, and so far putting on a really, really consistent performance today. I mean, that mark rounding at the top after that first upwind leg, that was just perfect, absolutely perfect there. Just suddenly just came down underneath the rest of the pack. Indeed. Looking like she was nowhere near it, and then just managed to get round it.
Exactly. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the other riders say happened at that top mark, because the majority of them looked as if they overlaid it. So maybe at the end there was a little gust, there was a little shift in the wind, allowing those riders who previously had underlaid the mark to suddenly make it, as Shahar certainly just by the skin of her teeth just made that upwind ley line. But you know, that's another thing that they have to think about, because if they tack once and make their ley line super far away, anything can happen. You know, there can be a lot of shifts and a lot of gusts, making the ley line previously good to suddenly not so good. So that's another thing that these riders have to think about in these tricky conditions. But where is that upwind mark? It's going to be coming close. Got some more water sports people out on the beautiful water here in the south of Sardinia, but it's looking like Shahar Tibi again having a very, very lovely lead within this second race of day number 5.
Absolutely, putting in a really nice tack there, just coming down off the foil but managing to keep planing. So often it's not necessarily just about staying on the foil. I mean, that's ideal, of course, but very, very difficult to do, especially when it's quite gusty. So if you can just keep the board speed a little bit, keep planing, that's super important. I'm sure any windsurfers out there will know, kind of think, how do you keep planing whilst you're doing a tack? You know, most of the time when you do a tack, you kind of stop moving. But these guys can kind of keep up and planing, carry the board speed through and that's so important. As you said earlier, Rafty, sometimes you can lose kind of 10-20 meters, which is so important when you're making your way up towards that mark. And let's see what Shahar's got for us. Going for another tack really quickly there, so maybe she's spotted a little bit of a gust, a little bit of a header, but has she spotted this rider here? Is she going to make it past?
Yeah,
easy.
But it is Aalvaa Watson in that second place at the minute. You'll see she is wearing that orange bib at the minute, signifying she did come into day number 5 in that first place position, but it is extremely tight at that upwind mark. But it is both Shahar leading this race so far again, but literally just a few board lengths behind is Aalvaa Watson from Great Britain.
So yeah, you see there, Shahar actually she kind of underlaid that mark a little bit there. She had to throw in that extra tack, but still managed to come in ahead of Aalvaa Watson there. So really impressive there again from Shahar. Just, you know, showing that dominance. There's a reason why she's been in 6 medal races before. You know, really looking at the conditions and knowing exactly where to go. As we see the rest of the pack now making their way down for that final downwind leg. Fingers crossed we're not going to see any more collisions like we saw in the last one heading round, because yeah, it sure gets busy at that top mark.
Certainly does get rather busy indeed, but I tell you what's not so busy is the front. It is Shahar Tibi and Aalvaa Watson currently first and second within this course race here on day number 5 of the European Championship. Striking distance 24 meters, 25 meters, around that 25 meters mark. Maybe she's gaining now, but it is Aalvaa Watson on her screens at the minute. Oh, it's pretty sketchy out there. It's pretty gusty. It's pretty shifty. It's pretty swelly as well. But look at Anastasia Valkovic. She's come straight into it.
Oh, look at the board speed.
God blimey, she's really got it going on.
She's closing that gap.
She is certainly closing the gap, showing that she knows how to put the power down. Oh, look at that.
Anastasia Valkovic as well, she had a really good few races in the first couple of days as well, right? So, you know, she's coming into this, I think, in 11th place coming into today. So she's just on that cut line as well. So if she can have a good day today, she's going to find herself back up into the medal races tomorrow. So yeah, and it looks like she has overtaken Aalvaa Watson as well.
Yeah, God blimey, she has taken it and going for that jibe. This will put Anastasia in a really good place position. She was leading after the first day, didn't quite have the second day she was hoping for. She said that was down to a lot of pressure being put on her wearing that orange bib, but now she is straight back up into it, and hopefully this will put her inside of that top 10. First competition for a while for her, so she is really happy to get racing again, having fun on this iQFOiL equipment. How sick is this? Shahar Tibi just putting in an absolutely dreamy jibe there, fully foiling all the way around, nice and safe. Little touchdowns here and there just to be nice and safe, because she is leading this race at the minute. She doesn't need to push like crazy, but look at it's certainly got very windy out there now. I mean, it's looking at least 15 knots there kind of thing.
Shahar Tibi crossing that line really nicely. Oh, sorry, coming past that mark really nicely, and she's put herself streets ahead of everyone else. As you said, you know, just loads of board speed as she makes her way towards that finish. And it looks like we've got a bit of a drag race for second and third position there between Aalvaa Watson and I think
it's Anastasia.
Yeah, I think it's Anastasia still, yeah.
Oh, God, blimey, this is really close. Anastasia is putting it down. Oh, photo finish.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite see the pin there. Well, that was
just really pushing and giving it as much as possible. As we take a little look at the recap, this start line really interesting to the one, and a bit of a contrast to what we saw last time. Last time we saw the guys going off on port tack. So as you can see, Sarah Venekus there, Netherlands 33. We saw the riders heading off on port tack, really making some gains, but actually in this race it was the opposite. All of the athletes heading off on starboard tack actually managed to make a lot more ground, making their way up. And then of course, as we got to that top mark, Shahar Tibi just came out of nowhere. As you said, Rafty, I think you made a really good call. I think a lot of the athletes definitely overlaid the mark, didn't they? So by overlaying the mark, you mean they went a little bit too far upwind. Ideally, you want to come around it as tight as possible, cover as little ground, and obviously that's going to make things even quicker. And Shahar Tibi absolutely did that. It didn't look like she was going to make it past. Suddenly, just that quick last few seconds little carve, carrying the board speed round the mark. You can see her down there at the bottom left-hand side. Doesn't look like she's going to get anywhere near it there, but obviously just spotted it, and as you can see here, just whipped herself right round there and straight up into first place. And from there, just absolute dominance. Really great to see.
Yeah, managed to hold it all the way towards that finish. There was that crash. Hopefully they're okay. Oh, God blimey. Yeah, look at that. Absolute whipped out the front door. Hopefully they're okay, but there we are. As we said, Shahar Tibi just dominating this race yet again and managing to clutch the dub this time.
but also big up for Aalvaa Watson as well. Sort of, I don't want to say coming out of nowhere, but you know, kind of very much part of the pack. And then as we got to that second upwind leg, just suddenly brought herself, this is as you can see on screen here, brought herself up onto screen, obviously wearing that orange jersey as well, so sitting in first position, getting around the mark, and then a bit of a battle between her and Anastasia Valkovic for second and third place as they made their way around that bottom mark for the last time. Shahar Tibi, just some incredible board speed, getting herself up and ahead of everybody else.
There was that moment where Anastasia put the power down and really attacked Aalvaa Watson here. She did manage to overtake her, taking that little second place in the end, and they're putting in that drive from Shahar Tibi, just ensuring that she can get the right ley line towards that gate, towards that blue mark, and there it is. Oh yeah, there we go. There's that second and third place position. Yeah, a real massive power down. Anastasia and also Aalvaa Watson. Look like maybe Anastasia had a little...
6-7 again. We've seen quite a bit of her today coming through in 10th. Shahar Tibi, of course, taking first place. Mina Mobek in 7th. So yeah, some really impressive results coming through there. And yeah, as I said, we are just waiting for the final confirmation for second and third place.
Oh, Jenny's having a good day though. Two very good races in there around that 10th spot. Cracking races there, hopefully, because as we said, you know, it's all pressure trying to get inside of that top 10. And the interesting thing about the course racing now is that everyone is racing in one fleet, which is a bit different to the course. Oh, cool, blimey. The TV just fell over. But so the two. Yeah, so the slalom racing, they have different. They race in different fleets. It's around 20, just to ensure safety, and that they can get the racing going. But the interesting thing about the course racing is that everyone is racing within the same fleet. So you know, wherever you finish, that's it. Exactly where you finish. Whereas with slalom, if you finish maybe, say let's say 5th for some reason, well, just not for some reason. For example, if there's 3 fleets, then in theory you kind of have to times that by 3. Getting 5ths, but if you get 5th in a course race. But let's have a little look at the up-to-date rankings of the men. They've had 1 course race so far today, and there we are. It is Adrian Mestre taking the lead off Luca Di Tomasi. He came into it leading, wearing that orange beard, but it is Adrian having a cracking first race and putting himself in that first place position, but not by much. They're on equal points, both Adrian and Luca, and still, Finn Hawkins moving up into that 3rd place. Matt just dropping from that 3rd place to the 4th place, but they're doing extremely well. Both lads having a wicked time. Manolo Modena moved up into that 10th place position. He must have Ghost in there, Yoav in there, Max is in there, and Leonardis is moved up to 9th place. He came into today, I'm pretty sure it was 10th overall, so he's gained a little bit, slightly more safe, but you know, anything can still happen.
Absolutely, and then yeah, touching on position 3 and 4 as well. Matthew Barton gone down into 4th place. So yeah, Finn Hawkins having a really good race, and then Luke Van Opsien still holding on to 11th. So yeah, anything could happen, and Yun Poliken bringing himself up into 12th place as well. So we're certainly seeing a bit of a change coming round as well, aren't we? Everyone to try and continue to perform as well as possible. You don't want to kind of sit back and relax necessarily too much, especially if you're down into that sort of bottom 5 of the medal races. It definitely of the top 10. It's definitely going to kind of, you know, be a bit risky heading towards the final of the day.
But now going back on to the women's course, they will be going again for another course race as the wind keeps on increasing. Actually, race 11 coming up, around 4 minutes to go. The plan for today is to do 5 races for everyone, to do the max, because the first 2 days we had a load of slalom races, which was awesome, but then the 3rd day and the 4th day we didn't actually have any racing at all, unfortunately, due to that 3rd day being being rather stormy indeed, rather stormy. So it was mega on and off, swirling winds, which just didn't make any suitable conditions, unfortunately. And then the fourth day was yesterday. It was lovely. I mean, it was absolutely prime, like loads of sun. However, what there was not loads of is wind. It was dead all day. So again, no racing then. However, now's the time. Now it's game on. We haven't only got wind. We've also got sun. And what more could you want when there's sun? There's wind, and there's windsurfing. Oh, I could want much more than that, to be honest. That's my dream.
Yeah, absolutely, Rafty. And as we see, they're all making their way onto that course, and they're just sort of getting ready to go. It is going to be another one of those upwind starts. Let's take a little look at the current women's rankings then, as we get through into start of 11. So that is not going to be counting the last race. So Sarah Wennicus now sitting up in first place after her second position finish in race number 9. So yeah, really interesting change in there. Isla Watson dropping down into third place. So very much going to depend on what happened in the last one. We're just waiting for the results from that, and obviously this isn't counting. Anastasia Valkovic already finding herself back up into that top 10. So currently sitting in 9th position there. Shahar Tibi sitting in 7th. So has brought herself up nicely from 10th place. So yeah, kind of really cementing her positions going into the medal races tomorrow. Manon Pianatzis now sitting in 10th place there. So yeah, already a bit of a change even after just one race, and it just goes to show how quickly things can change. Maya Giesler up in 4th place as well. So yeah, lots of things changing here. This is going to be a really interesting race for the women's, and we are sticking with the course racing. As Rafty said earlier, the wind has really to that kind of 14 knots now, rather than, the forecast was kind of 12 to 14. You can see the kind of swell lines in the water there, and it is definitely picking up quite a bit. So all of them are kind of sitting around that committee boat, which forms one of the ends of the start line. Now what they are doing is they will get up onto the foil, and they will start kind of picking up a little bit of speed, setting up their positions where they want to be sitting, and then they will start making their way towards their preferred way of getting across that start line. We have been seeing a bit of a mix today, haven't we? Between that kind of half the fleet opting to go off on port tack, half the fleet opting to go off in starboard tack. There really is a little bit of a change happening. Generally, it's not something we tend to see. Usually, the whole pack tends to go off on starboard tack. Obviously, port tack is a little bit of a risk, isn't it? So if anyone's wondering, we're talking about port and starboard an awful lot here. Port tack is when you have your left hand forwards. So typically we say if you're on the right, you're in the right. So if you have your right hand forwards, that means you have right of way. So if you're going off on port tack, it means you have to move for everyone else. And considering that this is an upwind start, you ideally don't want to lose any ground. So you would only be going off in port tack if you are absolutely sure that you will definitely be able to get up and ahead of everybody on starboard tack. And that was what we saw in the first race, in race 9. Race 10, it was actually all of the riders that went off on starboard tack were the ones that found the most success. So it's going to be really interesting to see as we move into this race how they are all going to be heading off, going across that start line.
There we are, coming up to the third race of today, and we're going for another course race, as we said. Will we be seeing another group going off on that port side? We're seeing a lot more on starboard, actually, and we're seeing that they're starting in a bit of a lull, but there we are. We do have some riders on that port side. They will have to keep clear. Oh, it's gonna be game on as well. We've got a lot of line sag there, but there we go. Game on starts going. Poland 230. Will she be able to do a full port floor? It's going to be coming very close. I'm pretty sure that is Maya, but it is looking like, again, she has managed. Whoa, look at that.
Streets ahead of everyone else. Yeah, really impressive start. And actually, basically, the only rider, you can see all of the other riders on port tack are way further down in amongst the pack. So yeah, really great. I love this angle here. You get a real sense of speed. Like, look at how fast they're going. Even they're going as far upwind as they can, really trying to maximize everything, and just hitting some really great speeds there. Getting up to sort of 18 knots, heading super far upwind. I mean, you can see here the angles that these athletes are taking. Poland 6 there as well, really getting themselves streets ahead. You can see there, just a huge amount of, as you said earlier, Rafty, if you draw a kind of vertical line on the TV, you can see how much further ahead they are from everyone else at the moment.
Opponent 6. Opponent 6. Anastasia Valkovic also having a cracking start there. Palmachago, Croatia 9 on our screens at the minute, and also Estonia 127 having a cracking start. That is Emma Victoria Milend on our screens as well. Where do they sit overall? They're kind of in that top 5 at the minute, but anything can change at the minute. This is very early on within the race, but Anastasia Valkovic leading out onto the left side of the course, currently taking that group out. But there is the other group on the top of our screens, and it's all going to be coming down to those crosses. It's cool. It's like a little exploration out on the course. A certain group can go out onto the left side, some can go out onto the right side, but they are all converging towards that single mark. They're all going to the same one, so it's pretty cool. Whichever way's best, they do come out of it the best.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Anastasia Valkovic a little bit. I mean, having a really, really impressive event. You can see she hasn't actually of who it was that went over in second, that battle for second place. So yeah, really, really impressive performance there from her. And then, of course, Sara Venikas, as you can see on the left-hand side, will just drop down into third place there. That's the distance from the race leader. So again, Shahar Tibi, judging by the looks of this, looks like she is up in first. But with this, it's very difficult to tell who's in first place, isn't it? Because as you said, Rafferty, they're kind of on a bit of an exploration at the moment.
Yeah.
Some of them are right out to the other side, some of them are here, so it's very hard to tell who is actually currently, kind of leading. It only really you get a sense of it as we get right up towards that top mark.
That looks so sick, doesn't it? Anastasia just putting the power down, just sending it upwind, She's around that 17, 18 knot mark upwind in, maybe around 15 knots. Can't quite tell from the views here, but it's medium winds at the minute. We're probably getting quite medium winds and allowing these riders to go extremely fast. I mean, this is a big course as well. It's a super big course. It's taken a lot of the bay here, but it's looking like maybe the riders who went onto the right side of the course, they maybe made the right decision, as Norway 21, Maja Gisler, is currently leading that race, coming through that upwind mark, driving straight away because she knows that there is a bit of a gain on the right side of the course. She's wearing that red bib, as she did come in today in that third place position.
Absolutely, yeah. I think just dropped down into fourth now before the results from the last race as well. So, I mean, if she can have a dominant performance here, she can find herself pinged right back up there again. And as you said, really lining that up nicely. We saw it with Shahar Tibi in the last race as well. It's so important not to over or underlay that mark as you make your way up to the top of the course, and it looks like she really managed to do that, and we see her making her way back down here. Let's talk about this stance that we've got going on here. It doesn't necessarily look like a traditional windsurfing stance, does it, Rafferty? What are they doing? And in terms of like the harness lines and that kind of the outhaul on the boom, they can kind of make all these adjustments as they're going. But talk us through the stances that they're kind of gonna do as they make their way back downwind.
Yeah, well, all these riders can have different stances. They all have different techniques specific to themselves, but we saw the big technique from oh gosh,
someone got down.
Someone's gone down. Hopefully that's not, is it Alice? I'm not too sure, but there is Maja Gisler leading this race at the minute. She has got a very interesting start. She's really sitting as low as possible, trying to transfer all of that power from the sail directly into that board and through the foil to hopefully give her as much speed and as much depth downwind as possible. But look how long those harness lines are. She is really trying to get as far away from the kit as possible, just having a little look backwards to see who is attacking her. She's probably looking at the drone right now and right next to her, which is pretty cool. But she's in game mode. She is in the zone. No messing around with Maya at the minute.
And again, it's that unique position, kind of staying out of that back foot strap, almost using the back foot as a bit of a kind of anchor point and sitting right over the foil there to kind of control it. And almost like you said earlier, it's not just about the power in the sail, is it? Especially when going downwind, it's also about using the power that the foil's generating as well. And kind of sitting on that, not necessarily, you don't need to be kind of right out on the rail when you're heading downwind. So kind of sitting a bit more over the middle of the board, but almost like kind of all of her weight going through that front leg and really kind of pushing and driving through through that front foot strap. Really unique, as we see a bit of a snaking going on there, so it doesn't quite need to jibe, but just that little cross through the eye of the wind before making her way back round that bottom mark and heading back up towards the top of the course again.
Well, it looked like Maya kept that lead, but it's all extremely close between the rest of the top 10 at the minute. Is that Aalvaa just coming through? Also, I think that was Emma as well. Anastasia also down there. They're all deciding to go off onto the left side of the course. There was one. Okay, another couple going off onto the right side of the course. But from that previous upwind, we saw that right side really did pay. They had a very big lead compared to the rest. All the riders deciding to go off onto the right. But here we are, Maya and also her teammate Mina Mobek. Mina was last year's European champion. Will she be able to get it today? Tomorrow. Well, at this event, I mean, she was around that 10th spot at the minute. I think she was 12th coming into today, something like that. So she'll be sure wanting to get inside that top 10, stay inside that top 10, and hopefully have another shot at that title.
Absolutely. Just there, it looked like Mina Mobek had loads more board speed. Maybe Maya Gisler went through a little bit of a lull there, but actually now it looks like they're pretty neck and neck. If anything, now Mina Mobek having to kind of pump. You can see her kind of out of the harness lines there, really trying to maximize a little bit before hooking back in. You know, it is so dynamic. Typically, when you think about it, you'd think they could kind of get in the foot straps, get in the harness lines, just hook in, lean back, and off you go. But actually, they're constantly making these little adjustments, aren't they? And changing things, you know, depending on what the wind is doing. But yeah, we've got a bit of a drag race on our hands between these two Norwegian athletes here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, you might be thinking that we're missing one of the Norwegians at the minute, Tuva Oppedal. Shout out to Tuva. Unfortunately, she is not competing here. She was here in the previous days, training, getting ready, getting set up for this competition, but she actually had a bit of an injury doing some training. She broke one of her bones in the lower leg, meaning that she had to quit. She had to back out of this competition. So shout out to Tuva. Hopefully you get well soon, and hopefully we'll see you all here again. But I mean, should be proud both of your teammates, Mina Mobek and also Maya Gisler, currently first and second within this course race. They're doing something right within their training teams, aren't they?
Absolutely, and again, it just goes to show, you know, that there is such a huge diversity, you know, within every race. You know, so far we've seen, Shahar Tibi excluded from this as well. You know, she managed to sneak in the last race, but other than that, you know, we saw different people kind of within that sort of top three conversation in the last couple of races. So it's been really exciting to see there's definitely an evening out of the pack. It is very much basically anyone could find themselves at the front of this if they're making the right decisions, I think, on the course. And that's what, maybe you can speak to this as well, Rafti. Maybe that's got something to do with the fact that the course is so much larger. You know, having that larger course, it gives people a little bit more time. You know, there's a few more tactics involved to kind of, you know, work on finding the best line, whether it's making your way to the top mark or down to the gate at the bottom. But actually having that little bit more time, a little bit more room to kind of make those decisions does mean that actually we're seeing a lot of different names kind of coming to the that top 5, top 10 as we make our way through these last few races before the medal series tomorrow.
Indeed. But there is that win mark. They haven't quite made it. Will she be able to cross? Maya is able to cross, but it is still Mina and Maya, both Norwegians, currently leading this race. We can see just how gusty it is out on the course, proving really tricky for these riders. They really have to be on the mental game, ensuring they are in the correct shifts, in the correct lifts, in the correct gusts to make sure that they have the shortest route on the course, but also go fastest. But look at that. It looks as if Mina had a bit of... Yes, it is indeed Mina. Attack at the right time, just snatching the lead off of Maya there. But look at that. I think that was...
Shahar Tibi. Really unique technique she's been going for is so early, sorry, and not taking the same line as everyone else. You could see everyone else going super wide and coming towards it. Shahar staying right through the middle of the course, and that kind of staying across it, carrying as much board speed in that last little carve up and round. Really, really impressive there from Shahar Tibi, and it looks like that will catapult her straight up into third position. But as you said, yeah, Mina Mobek with a really, really tactical little decision there, that last minute tack, and managing to carry the board speed as well. Didn't lose any speed, because for a second, sometimes those tacks, it means that the person behind can sort of carry on their run and almost overtake you. But yeah, Mina Mobek, proving why she's been a previous winner, and carrying herself through. And now they make their way down towards that last mark, rounding through the gate before that drag race towards that finish line. And look like we've got these three streets ahead. You can see Shahar Tibi starting to gain on them a little bit, little striking distance there. So you can see there's 36 meters, or yeah, kind of changing a little.
And especially when you're at the front, you are just trying to defend. But Mina is putting in a very good defensive show here, as she's still leading towards this bottom mark. And there is that mark. Will she be able to take the win within this third course race of day number 5? It's looking like she has actually extended her lead. Maybe Shahar in that second place now. Also Maya dropped to that third place position, but Mina Mobek having an absolutely epic race, showing exactly how to snatch the lead off of her teammate and take the win within this third race here at the European Championships.
Really, really impressive performance there from Mina Mobek, and it looks like, yeah, Shahar Tibi managed to just get past Maya Giesler and take second position. Maya Giesler in third. And then we are starting to see the rest of the pack making their way over that finish line. Really, really impressive performance there from both Maya Giesler and Mina Mobek. Shahar Tibi, of course, remaining consistent and coming away with another second place. So she's going to find herself going even further up into that top 10 going into tomorrow. Already brought herself up, I think, into 8th place. We'll just wait for the full confirmation of the winners of this race. I think we're still waiting for full confirmation of who came second and third in the last race as well. We had that amazing drag race between Anastasia Valkovic and Isla Watson as well. But yeah, before that, let's take a little look at the recap of the last race here. So interesting here to see most of the athletes actually opting to go for that kind of starboard takeoff. But yeah, a couple of the riders there going off just about get ahead.
That banging start, just completely flying. All of the riders on starboard. Anastasia Valkovic on the screens at the minute, leading that pack out onto the left side of the course. Didn't quite manage to take it, but it was Anastasia in the previous race that managed to get that second place. But moving back up on to this previous race that we just had, there was that upward mark. Still a bit of spacing out immediately at that first upwind, but it's still pretty close between those riders though. They really need to ensure that they can fight each other and take those places. This is the last day before the medal races, so it is all power on, all pressure on, but Maya Giesler just showing us exactly how it needs to be done. Just in the zone there, there's no messing around with Maya here.
Absolutely, yeah, really impressive performance there from Maya Giesler. Sadly for her, just not quite managing to hold on to it in that final downwind. Shahar Tibi just managed to find some room to get past her and take that second position. Mina Mobek coming in first. And just a little bit of confirmation there, Anastasia Valkovic did end up coming second in the last race as well. So Isla Watson in third place as well. So Anastasia Valkovic having a really, really great 5th day of her event here. And I think, hopefully kind of cementing her position as we go into the medal races tomorrow. And then we've had confirmation now. That is it for the coverage of the women's racing today. We are now going to be swapping, so we have 2 courses here out here for the European Championships in Sardinia. So we have the men's fleet have been racing on course Bravo essentially, so they're a little bit further out to sea. They will now be making their way over to this course, and the women will be heading out towards that. So we will now be swapping over, and we will be covering the men's fleet. So yeah, going to be some interesting things happening over there. But let's take a look at the top 10 for women's race 11, the race we just saw there. So as you can see, Mina Mobek taking the win there, and Shahar Tibi sitting in 2nd place for that one there. So really impressive performance there, managing to do that unique sort of technique she does going Maya Giesler there. Maya Giesler coming in 3rd place, looking a little bit further down there. Catherine Williams coming in 7th place there as well, representing for the UK. Daniela Peleg in 4th place. Tamar Steinberg as well. She's been putting a really consistent performance in, coming over in 5th place as well. Poland 230 as well in 6th. She was one of the, had a really, really great start. One of the riders choosing to go over on port tack. And really, really dominant there, and just kind of didn't quite make the right decision. As you said, Rafti, I think they found much better wind further over on that side, and she kind of stuck over towards the left-hand side of the course there. So yeah, frustrating there for her, but I mean, still coming over 6th place isn't too bad, is it?
I think Maya was the one who had the insane port flyer, actually, wasn't it?
Yes, she was. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, and an absolutely amazing race from her, Maya Kuchta, Poland 230. And that put her in that 6th place overall, just showing exactly how important that start is. If you are able to have a banging start, a cracking start, like Maya did there, it will put you in a very good position within the rest of the race. But also Katrin having a very good race there. 7th, GBR 28. Recently just changed the number. Yeah, a lot of the Brits have just changed their numbers, actually. They managed to... Well, I'm not too sure how it works with some of the other countries, but I got information that the Brits, so every now and then they can change the numbers. They offered some numbers that they can choose. Longer numbers. I mean, most people want shorter numbers, not only because it's cheaper to buy shorter numbers on the sale stickers, but also that it fits on the sale. Maybe they have a preferred sale number, but that's pretty. Also, Isla Watson, she's just changed a number to GBR 20, and she is currently leading the overall women's standings.
Back into first place. Back into first place for Isla Watson. So obviously this isn't taking into account women's race 11 that we just ran there. But yeah, excluding that one, this is what we're currently looking at. So not quite up to date, but gives you a very, very good idea of what we've got here. So yeah, Isla Watson back up into first. Maya Giesler holding on to, sitting on that 3rd position. Sarah Wennicker's back down into 4th. Anastasia Valkovic catapulted up into 8th position. Mina Mobek now sitting in 10th. So yeah, it's very much still all to play for. Maya as well, Poland 230 sitting in 12th. So after that last race, her coming with a 6th, that could well see her jumping back up into that top 10. Mina Mobek obviously coming away with a race win. She will definitely see herself going further up than that 10th place. So... Absolutely. So yeah, Anastasia Valkovic in 8th place. Tamar Steinberg still sitting in 7th. Shahar Tibi in 6th. But with that last race, we'll definitely see them moving a little bit further up as well. Let's take a little look at some of the highlights from the last 3 women's races before we move over towards some coverage of the men's. been kind of picking up throughout the day. And as you can see here, we are now going to be swapping around courses. So we're going to be covering some of the men's racing. But in order to do that, they are going to be making their way over to this course Alpha, and the women are going to be making their way over to course Bravo. So we are going to be going on to a short hold for around 10 minutes. Do not go anywhere, and we will be back with more action very soon.
One word, fun racing. Actually, too.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the iQFOiL European Championships here for day in Sardinia. And if you are just joining us, my name is Sandy and I'm joined here in the booth by Mr. Rafferty Reid. We've had some great racing so far today, haven't we?
We certainly have, Sandy. We have followed 3 whole course races for the women this morning and it was just awesome. Here is some of those highlights. Look at that start. Everyone within the fleet, all 46 riders in this start. We can see a big difference in this location. I mean, a big some changing conditions. It was gusty, it was shifty, just showing that a lot of riders going off onto that, a lot of port flyers, port duckers, but a big difference in group compared to a lot of people going off onto the right side and off onto the left side. But one of those standouts was Shahar Tibi, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Shahar Tibi's been a real standout all day, especially at that top mark. You know, you can see there something that's been a real point of contention today is kind of overlaying and underlaying that top mark, with quite a few riders making a few mistakes, you know, coming a bit too far up, you know, because it is offshore. The gusts are kind of shifting quite a little bit, and Shahar Tibi actually managing to get herself round, you know, keeping such a tight line going around that mark, and that's meant that she's really managed to put in some really impressive performances throughout the 3 races today. Another one to mention, Sarah Wennicus having a really great, you can see there, you know, crossing the line in first in that first race, so really impressive. These start lines have been really interesting. Something that we've seen today that we don't usually tend to see, it is that kind of split of the pack. You know, half of them going across on port, half of them on starboard, which is, yeah, as I said, it's not something we usually see, is it?
Because the thing with going off on port and starboard, the people on port don't have right of way, so sometimes there can be some collisions. But luckily we did manage to get any, well, luckily we didn't get any collisions off onto that start line, which was good. But what we did see was some really big gains off that start line. Maya, Poland 230. She's one that stood out, having a very good start on one of those, and also Sarah had a very good start as well, flying the whole of the starboard riders. And then we're going to that race, also Isla Watson having a very good race within these 3. She did come into today wearing that orange bib, leading the pack, not quite leading anymore, but still right up there in the results. And there was what I was talking about, Poland 230, Maya having a great start within this one, flying all of them, no pumping even. She is just sitting low, trying to transfer all that power through that foil, change it from power into speed, and so she did, along with Anastasia Valkovic. But it was also Maya Gisler having a very good race in that last one, along with their teammate Mina Mobek. They were leading first and second for the majority of that race, weren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Mina Mobek put in a great performance in race number 11. Yeah, managing to get herself up and ahead, and you know, kind of cement her position. As you can see, up in the top 10 there. So she's currently sitting in 9th. Maya Gisler now sitting up in 1st overall. Really interesting to see there. Daniela Peleg as well bringing herself up into 2nd place. Isla Watson dropping down into 4th. Shahar Tibi up into 3rd. Sarah Wennicus down in 7th. Anastasia Valkovic holding on in 8th place there. So really interesting what we're seeing there as we move into the business end of this event and towards the medal series for tomorrow. So that is the women's rankings. Looking at the men's rankings, there's also been a little bit of a change. This is men's rankings. Looking at the men's rankings, there's also been a little bit of a change. This is missing the results from the last race, but a real change up here. Luke van Opzeeland especially bringing himself back up from 11th, and he is now in contention up in 7th place, so he's been having a much better day today. Luca Di Tomasi, the event leader, going into today, dropping down into 2nd. Pavel Tarnowski, one of the guys we got to speak to yesterday in depth and had a great conversation with him, now sitting up in 3rd place, so he's had a really good day today. Finn Hawkins, Matthew Barton dropping down into 5th and 6th. They were sitting in 2nd and 3rd. 3rd and 4th. So yeah, a bit of a change as we make our way into today. Manolo Modeno in 9th place as well. So yeah, everything changing here, and we are swapping over, as we said, if you're just joining us, we've been covering the women's so far, and we are now going to be covering the men's racing, and it is still that course racing format. Just over 40 seconds left to go until the start of this race. Rafferty, talk me through it. Who are the standouts? Who should we really be watching out for in this race, do you think?
There's a lot. I mean, as we've previously mentioned, for some of these riders, they have come straight from the Olympic Games and also a very intense 4 years, but we also have a big group of people who will be pushing extremely hard, so trying to start their next cycle, their 2028 cycle, with an absolute bang. And so we have seen, I mean, in that leading position, Adrian, he did compete in that previous cycle, but he's currently coming into it amazingly, along with Luca, Finn, and also Matt Barton. Pavel being one of the Olympians, he's coming into it too. But there is that start. Look at that. That was just game on. Look at it. Oh, that is sick. Look at all them sails just pushing to the absolute max. They're all doing very big pumps. Still, we have some riders deciding to go off that start line on port, but not quite managing to fly it all. They've got to make their way through the absolute swarm of riders here. But wow, what a start that was.
Absolutely. They're looking there. It looks like Luke van Opselen with a good start, but I think that is Leonidas, taking up the front there. It looks like he's had a really, really great start, putting a bit of different distance between himself and the pack. But as we've seen over the women's racing today, the course racing, there's so many variables. You said earlier, Rafti, it's a big course, isn't it? So there's so many things that can happen as they make their way up and around. So, of course, it's important to have this good start. But we saw it in the last race, Shahar Tibi not necessarily having the best start, but by employing those tactics and controlling that kind of VMG, like you said, that fine balance between board speed and the right angle, she just managed to find herself rounding that top mark so easily despite not having the best start. So there's so many timings to get the kind of tactics going. And as we see up on the left-hand side of your screen, that is the board speed. So yeah, Netherlands 55. Oh no, has just disappeared there. Gone down into second position there. And you can see, look at the board speed that these guys are getting in only 12, 13, maybe 14, 15 knots of wind. Going up to sort of that 20 knots there.
Speedy. But yes, as they've switched course now, actually, as we wanted to get a little bit of a spy of these riders, of the men racing out here in Cagliari on this dreamy water. So this does add a little bit of new situations than they've raced in previously today, being on that different course. Maybe the wind is slightly different. This course is slightly closer to the beach, so maybe that means a little bit more gusty, maybe a little bit more shifty. As we're seeing, it is quite gusty here. But look at these tacks. Spain 3, there was nearly a fully falling tack. That was sick as. Really speeding out, trying to minimize the time that they are off the foil to ensure that they have the fastest and shortest route up the course.
Absolutely, yes, some really impressive sailing going on there as we see the Italy 27 heading round that tack there. Really, really nice. Basically staying up on the foil the entire time. And like you said, Rafti, that is a real point of difference. If you can stay up on the foil as you're making those transitions, that is going to really, really help. And let's take a little look at the Greek rider there, Greek 80, I think it is, holding onto that uphole there as they make their way upwind. You can see the GBR rider just behind doing the same thing. Can you talk through why it is that they're doing that, kind of pulling on that uphole rather than keeping both hands on the boom?
Yeah, so with pulling on that uphole, they are able to get their body further away from the equipment, allowing a little bit more leverage and power transfer to the foil. It also allows the mast of the sail, so basically let's just say the whole sail, to be more upright in a more vertical position. And do some little Pythagoras' theorem. When the sail is more upright, you have more sail facing the wind. So effectively you have more power in your sail, and this is what all these riders are trying to get the most of. They want the most power possible to transfer that into speed and upwind angle and overall VMG. But there is Luke van Opselen, the Olympic bronze medalist, just putting in his tack there, straight back up onto the foil towards that upwind. And who's putting in that tack now? Could that be Max? I can't quite see.
GBR 360 there. Currently sitting in second place. So yeah, it's kind of still all to play for. We're just seeing the speeds here, but it seems like a much more even pack here. Everyone kind of making their way up. In the previous races, it was very much one or two riders that would be ahead of the rest of them. But it seems like everyone's sort of coming across over. Looks like a much closer pack. Look at this as they make their way around the mark.
Oh, it's all extremely close. Look at that. Leonidas just coming round. I think that's Jarvid there as well. Bernat in amongst of it there. But it was Andy Brown currently leading this race. First at that upwind mark, but look how close it is. All 69 riders on this European Championships racing in this course. But look at Manolo. Oh, Italy 27, Manolo Modena. He is showing us not only how to do it speedily, but how to look good on the course. Cool, blimey.
Absolutely, looking really good, and currently sitting in 9th position. Obviously, the last race hasn't been taken into account yet, but he is right there. So if he can get a good result in this, he's going to really cement himself in that medal series for tomorrow. So yeah, big race here for Manolo Modena, and it looks like he's really responding to it well. Luke van Opzeeland as well. Obviously, didn't have a great start to his event. Coming off like you said, Rafty, he's one of those ones that's come off a big Olympic campaign, a very successful one, but also he's been through the wheel. He's had a lot on, so this is potentially a bit of a cool down event. He even said it himself in some of the interviews. He's like, this event isn't huge for me, it's kind of just to get back on the horse a little bit and try and enjoy it a bit, and it seems like that's he's kind of maybe got into that mindset a bit today and just kind of relaxed into it a bit. The wind is a bit stronger, he's a big guy, potentially is going to kind of play to his strengths a little bit more, and it looks like that's exactly what we're seeing here on screen. He is gassing it.
Yeah, Luke is definitely one of the fastest, but I tell you what, Joost Vink, Netherlands 17, he's holding his own here compared to Luke. Maybe he's going a little bit more upwind. He's just looking down to Luke. Where is that ley line? Luke's deciding to jibe off there, closely followed by Joost Vink, 23 years of age, still got a whole career ahead of him, but possibly Luke might have snatched the lead. But where is Andy Brown? Maybe they went out onto the other side of the course, and indeed they did. Can't quite see it at the minute, but look how close all of this is. Let's have a look down at that bottom mark. How close all these riders are together, looking in that position, using the rules to ensure that they can come out on top. But Luke, yeah, he's got the speed, hasn't he? He's got the speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it looks like he's taken into first place. But it's an interesting battle that we've got going on here. So Luke van Opzeeland there, you can see, 25 years old, 8 medal races under his belt. He's an Olympic medalist. He's won these events before. He's so accomplished. And then on the other side, you've got Joost, as you said, potentially a bit of one of those kind of younger riders, almost kind of coming up. And it's that perfect balance of the really interesting thing that we've got at this event is some athletes are here on a cool down, some of them are here to really kind of make a statement, look to kind of secure that funding as we start this next 4-year cycle.
Yeah, you're not going to be forgetting that anytime soon.
Well, ultimately that's why all these that's why all these athletes are here. Of course, I don't want to take any of the gravity away from this event. But a large part of coming away with a win at an event like this and things is, we've discussed this a bit over the week, but a huge part of it is to be able to secure funding for a campaign towards the next Olympics for the one starting it, and also to make a bit more of a name for yourself and be successful. So it is massively a bit of a start about it. But I mean, just look at this. So we do have these offshore conditions today. Any windsurfers out there will know that does mean it is quite gusty, and you can see here. Look at the stripes that they've got on the water, and I think these riders, if they're intelligent, if they're smart, they're going to be wanting to use those gusts, aren't they, to try and maximise it. With the transitions and things like that, do you find going for the foil tacks and stuff, are they going to be wanting to use the gusts or the lulls when they're going for that tack?
It depends how windy it is, to be honest. I mean, in these conditions, they're probably going to be wanting to go within a gust because. Right. I mean, it's windy, but it's not that windy. It's not that windy. I mean, I'm looking at what are your guesses? I'm thinking it's probably Oi, get on it.
Nice tack.
Oh, a little bit of a touchdown at the end, but that was swaz. I'll rate that well in. That was pretty sick. But Joost taking the lead in this race. Look at it. He's gained a fair few board lengths there, maybe 10 meters or so, and he's still pumping. Where is that ley line? Is he going to manage to take it? And there he does take it indeed. Only one downwind and a final reach separates him between a win and a win here on day number 5 of the European Championships.
Absolutely there, yeah. Really, really impressive there. Again, we saw with Shahar Tibi earlier, so much of it is about getting that right ley line, isn't it? Finding the exact right line to get round that top mark. It does seem to be like that is kind of the decider of whether you're going to be heading into that sort of top 3 or 4. Everyone that's got round that top mark the second time, generally they found themselves within that sort of top 3 and 4 as they've made their way back down. Usually that is where we start to see a bit of a split, and yeah, it does look like that is what's happening here. Manolo Modena kind of dropping back down into sort of 4th place a bit there. If you look on the left-hand side of the screen, you can kind of follow along a little bit.
Look at the crossing.
Actually, sitting in 8th place. Greece 80. He actually had a brilliant start. I think that's Leonidas. A really, really great start. But yeah, kind of slipped down into 8th place. But I mean, still really good. Realistically, if you're coming in the top 10 in any of these races, you're still, getting yourself into a good position, and hopefully kind of, building that confidence, building the house a little bit as we get towards the end of the day. But ideally, if there was ever a time to push in this event, it is now, right?
It really is now. All the pressure is getting inside that top 10 for tomorrow. As we're seeing, these riders really pushing in these wins now. They are fully powered up, though. Look at this. Joost is really leaning out from that equipment. He is going so fast. Look at the spray off on his foil, but Luke is in close attack.
Oh!
He's putting down the power now. Will he be able to catch Joost up? We are going to find out very soon. He has got a little bit of a lead there. Maybe 1, 2, 3 there. 3 or 4 seconds there going on there. Yeah, it's 80, 90 metres there. It's something's going to have to happen to Joost for Luke to catch him up. But what a race from Joost there. Gee, God blimey, look at that. He's leaning out. It's full power position, but Joost just snatching that lead. What a race from him. Closely followed by Luke van Opsieland in that 2nd place position.
Really, really impressive performance from both of those guys there. Especially from Joost there. As you said, Luke van Opsieland was really kind of leading for quite a while. And then you can just see, look at the gap there between them and the rest of the pack that are now crossing. Manolo Modena, they're crossing in 4th place. Just seeing those two, they were so far ahead of everybody else. Absolutely crazy there from those two riders. Really, really impressive performance as we see them all starting to cross over that finish line.
Cracking race from Bernat as well there. Inside
coming across in 5th,
10. Yeah, right. Cool, blimey. Great race from Andy there as well. I think Finn was in there clutching up a 4th place. Well into the line. Oh! Is that Dunk Punk? Just Duncan Monaghan having a little thing over there. But there we go. There was that start. How sick is that? That is cool. I mean, within probably 20-metre range, there's about 20 riders. Cool, blimey.
Really impressive there. Yeah, really cool to see. And another one of those start lines where there was a little bit of a split of the pack as well. Making their way up here. I think the wind has definitely picked up. I mean, look at the water there. Yeah,
that's pretty breeze on.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
Breeze on out here on the waters of Cagliari, Sardinia for the iQFOiL 2024 European Championships. But it was Andy Brown taking a little lead. Oh, not by much though. Closely behind him, Manolo Modena in that 2nd place. That was sick as. Maybe Manolo took the lead for a few seconds there. All extremely close between Bernat and Jarvet and also Leonardis. But there is Manolo. Cool, blimey, he's cruising. He was loving it. Well, he still is loving it, no doubt. Look at that speed, though.
He had a great race up until now, and then he just kind of got overtaken by these two, and then it basically became a drag race, a match between the two of these guys, didn't it? They were streets ahead of basically everyone else. Put in a real great performance. Obviously, Luke van Opsieland, he doesn't really need any further introductions, does he? But Joost as well, Netherlands 17 there, just kind of had the edge on Luke basically the whole time, didn't he? This was that separation there, that tack there, meant he came round this mark first and basically managed to hold his ground the whole time. But Luke van Opsieland, he's so fast in a straight line, isn't he?
Yeah,
he always looks like he has that extra knot or two compared to whoever he's with.
Yeah, he's pretty fast, he's pretty big. He's got the leverage. He's certainly got the leverage, but Joost managed to take it. What a lad, managing to clutch that dub here on the waters. That was their first race that we saw for the men. That was their 10th race, but it was, as we said, Joost in that 1st place, Luke in 2nd, and then it was Pavel in that 3rd place position. An insane race from Manolo there. Absolute corker, 4th place. I mean, he was leading at one point. I mean, only just, but still, 4th place. That is just epic. Finn Hawkins, the legend of Finn Hawkins, in that 5th place position. Bernat Thomas in 6th. Freddie, a great race from him as well, in that 7th place. This is his home spot, actually. He only lives about 10 minutes away from here. So his experience here certainly would have helped him to get that top 10 result here. Leonardis in that 8th place position. he is one of the riders who was on that cusp of that top 10 coming into today. So that 8th place, that's inside that top 10, so he will be happy. 9th, Hidde Vandermeer, and 10th, Andy Brown. Another great race from him.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially paying a bit of attention there to in third place, Pavel Tarnowski. You know, he's put in such a consistent performance throughout every day of racing at this event so far, and a bit more detail yesterday. And you know, he athletes coming on of, you know, the Olympics and everything like that, and he kind of said he's coming here to kind of relax, but actually what's most important to him is being here with his family. And he said, you know, being able to go out and race, and you know, his with his wife and his kid starting to recognise him when he comes in from races, and he's like, that's all I need. And it was really cool to get that. And you know, he seemed very chilled going into this, and he said something that's most important is just to have fun. And to get here and enjoy it, and it certainly seems to be paying off for him. You know, he's not necessarily, I don't want to say he's not taking it seriously, because of course he is once he's on the race course, but he's certainly here very much to just sort of enjoy himself and enjoy the racing, and get out there. So yeah, it's definitely paying off. So yeah, let's take a little look at the overall men's rankings, excluding the race that we've just seen. But let's take another little look. So yeah, Pavel Tarnowski sitting up in 3rd place. Really impressive. Andy Brown coming up into 10th. Luke Van Opselen sitting down in 9th. Manolo Modena 7th. Just up into 6th, though that's not counting this race, so he'll find himself even further up, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Adrian, we didn't quite see Adrian in that top 10 from that previous race. Hopefully he was not too far outside of that. Might be a discard for him. I mean, look at the points. Well, not counting that previous race before, he was only 1 point ahead. I mean, only 3 points separating that top 3. But as we now continue to do course racing today, those points will most likely be spacing out a little bit. Plan is for today 5 course races for everyone to do the absolute max amount. So in theory, this one will be their last race of the day. It's going to be sick. There's still wind. I mean, look at the wind. They're down the bottom here. It's windy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's probably 15 knots of maybe
something interesting as well, Rafty, to look at there. So looking at there, it's currently in 2nd place, and he's kind of been leading all day. Is Luca Di Tomasi? We didn't see him in the top 10 in that last race. He must have had a bit of a shocker in that race.
Yeah.
So obviously not having a good one. He came 20th in that race, so didn't have a very good one. I wonder if he'll be able to use it as a discard. Adrian, who's in 1st, came 18th. So both of them had a really bad race there. So this is going to be a really interesting one, because this is the last race. So yeah, as you just said, this is the last one. So it's all to play for.
Yeah, I mean, we're saying really bad at kind of that 20th position. I mean, that might be really bad for them, but
it's pretty good.
Well, I mean, if I was out the course, that'd be next level for me. Good grief! And for the majority of those riders, I mean, just to be here is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
This is one of the most important and pinnacle competitions on the calendar for the iQFOiL class. This is the European Championships, Continental Championship, so where we are seeing some of the best riders in the world here, and we also have people from outside of Europe on our screens at the minute. Geronimo, all the way from Mexico. You know, it's not just Europeans who are competing here, it's people from all around the world, just highlighting how important and how much of a good level competition this is. So, you know, any result in this, I mean, we do usually concentrate on those top ones, but it's really cool to really recognise and see everyone else who have put in all the work to get where they are here. Just being able to compete here is wicked. It is wicked.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, it's one of those things that the level is so high here, isn't it? It's so easy to look at it. And it's one of those things with any sport. You know, the guys at the top always, or guys and girls at the top, they always just make it look easy. And when you make it look easy, you think, I can do that. I'll be able to get around this.
No chance.
But actually, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
You know, it is so difficult what these guys are doing, and there's so much going on. There's so many variables. Not only are you trying to control the sail in this wind, you're also trying to control the foil underneath your feet, whilst also looking around you and taking advantage of what the conditions are offering, and also making sure you're not going to hit anyone else.
Exactly.
And keeping an eye on what they're doing, so you can kind of analyse what they're up to and see if you can alter what you're doing. So there's 6 or 7 different things going on at any point that you want to. And also, we forgot to mention, and we haven't necessarily talked about it that much today, this equipment can be adjusted on the course while you're going around. You see when they're going, and the course racing, that is especially important, isn't it? The slalom, they don't necessarily need to do it too much, but in the course racing, they very much adjust the outhaul quite a lot, don't they?
Exactly. There's so many things to think about on this equipment. Yeah, as you said, it's easy just to think, oh yeah, they're just sitting having a wicked time cruising out on the course, but no, they are in the zone, they are concentrating to the absolute max, still having a wicked time on the water, enjoying nature, enjoying the power of the nature, but the amount of work, the amount of dedication that is led up to these moments, they're trying to put in their absolute A game.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's been an interesting one because this is actually the first day of course racing that we've had at this event, isn't it? So day 1 and day 2, it was all about the slalom, wasn't it? Which are really short, really fast races, only downwind, very, very different format to what we've been seeing here today, which is the course racing. And as you mentioned, Rafti, this is a big course, isn't it? To be doing on. Like you said, we're taking up the majority of the bay here in Cagliari, and it's beautiful conditions and it's great, but by having it a bit more spaced out, it means there's a lot more time for all these different tactics, and obviously there's the 2 upwind legs as well, whereas the slalom, it is so different. It's so fast, lightning quick. It's all about throwing in those jibes, getting down as quickly as possible. It's much more of a kind of drag race, perfect for when the wind's a bit lighter. Do you have a preference?
Well, I mean, I'm all for mega holy moly moments, to be perfectly honest with you. I like frothing, having a sick time on the water, all power, all action. So, I do have a little tendency to strong winds, with strong winds things can happen, everyone goes faster, everyone has more power that they have to handle with. That's just my tendency. But, even when the wind is light, it is so sick. I mean, that's one of the really cool things about the iQFOiL class is that whenever we're racing, everyone is foiling. So everyone's going extremely fast, extremely high speed, and it's sick no matter what the wind. They do sometimes doing double the speed limit. So we're looking out here and it's looking kind of light, but they're still having mega action out on the course. It is wicked. I love it.
Absolutely. And let's take a little look at the recap of some of the action from the slalom racing on day 1 and 2.
One word, fun racing. Actually, too.
Awesome to see some of the highlights from day 1 and day 2. Kind of different days from what we've had today. You know, a lot less cloud around, but also a lot less wind. It's been really exciting to be able to run some course racing over time. We ran 3 women's races on the stream. As Rafferty said, we've been on 5 races for the men, 5 races for the women. We covered 3 of the women's races, and this will be the second men's race that we will be covering on the stream. We wanted to make sure we brought action for both fleets for you guys watching at home, and we are just getting ready now for the final race for the men's fleet of the day, after a bit of a stormer in the last one, with the 2 Dutch riders putting in an incredible performance, Luc van Opzeeland and Joost as well. Their positions up into the top 10 for those medal races, but it is very much still all to play for in this one. You know, we saw a bit of a couple of upsets, so currently the top 2 riders overall in the men's came 18th and 20th in the last race.
Yeah, no, it's interesting stuff. I mean, that really does highlight the kind of gusty and shifty conditions we're having out here. I mean, I've had an update out on the course from the class secretary, Valerie. She's saying she's currently out on the course, just ensuring all the racing is going correctly. And she said it's around 11 to 18 knots.
Oh, wow.
So it's it's not the most consistent. I mean, you think about 11 knots, that's kind of light. That's pretty light. And you think about 18 knots, okay, yes, it's pretty blowy. So for these riders to be going from that kind of light winds to the mega blowy winds, it means that it's quite tricky on these riders. They need to ensure that that they're in the right place, hopefully in those gusts to go the fastest. As we're going back to that committee boat, Carolina with the sunglasses on, organising the racing, doing a great job, and she's just put up that orange flag. Now, what does that orange flag mean? That's basically a warning for all the riders to show them that their next race will be starting very, very shortly, usually between 1 or 2 minutes, probably 1 minute here, so probably around 3.5 minutes to go. And also that orange flag marks the exact point of the start line, because if you think about it, the start line can be, well, how long does that boat? Maybe 4 or 5 meters, maybe 6, something like that. So that's a lot. That's a wide start line. It could be a bit what's the word? Kind of obscure where on that boat it is. But that orange flag marks it absolutely. Absolutely, exactly. So there we go. Hopefully and it shows that we are getting underway very soon. We also see 2 other flags. The red flag, that shows that we are on course racing. The A flag means it's the first fleet, because all 69 men are racing in the same fleet here of the final race here on day 5. And LR2 just signifies which course we are doing, which is an upwind, downwind style course, 2 upwinds, and then followed with that final reach. God blimey, last race to go. Are you excited, Sandy?
Certainly, mate. Certainly, yeah. I think it's going to be really, really good. This is the last chance for the majority of the fleet to get themselves up into that top 10. So, you know, we are fully into the business end here. You know, a couple of guys making really good performances, and they're going to really find themselves climbing up into that top 10. Basically, it changes after every single race. So, yeah, it's just so exciting to see them kind of how it sort of chops and changes, who ends up into that top 10, because it's so close. All it takes is one person to get one really good result, and it can throw everything out of routine. So, yeah, it's going to be really intriguing as we are seeing the riders getting themselves up onto the foil. They're going to be making their way out, picking up a little bit of speed and finding themselves on the right side of it. Throughout the day today, we've been seeing a real split pack when it comes to the upwind start. You know, half the riders going away on starboard tack, which is traditionally what we see, but quite a few of them going away on port tack as well. And we've seen mixed results with that, haven't we, today? Sometimes it's worked really well. Other times hasn't quite paid off.
Yeah, right. That's the risks that these riders have to weigh up, balance, which is the right way to go. But they also have to be fast, they have to be speedy, they have to be in the mental game, ensuring they're at the right place at the right time, taking every opportunity they can as they're coming into the last 2 minutes before their start. You see that blue flag, we still can see that committee boat, that blue flag signifying that the men's fleet will be racing. when that goes up, it's 3 minutes, but we're also seeing the red and white checkered flag next to that. That signifies that we are inside the last 2 minutes. And also, if they are over the start, they will be disqualified. So hopefully no over the starts. We're also seeing the other end of the start line in the distance. We can see that with it's a little another small boat. So the riders, they have to draw that imaginary line between those two boats and hopefully be perfect. But this will be a really good shot to see who is nearest that line, because sometimes we do see the line sag. So near at both ends, we can see them really close to the start because they can estimate themselves better compared to that boat. But usually in the middle, it's really hard to estimate where you are on that start line, like the distance towards it. Then we can see a little bit of sagging going on there. But we are inside, coming up to the last 30 seconds of their final race here on day 5 for the majority of these men. It will be their last race of this competition. It's the last race of the day, and they will be really trying to put in a good last race and maybe inside that top 10 for those medal races tomorrow.
Absolutely, as they're getting super close now, getting towards the start of this. They're going to start putting the gas on a little bit, but of course not too much. Nobody wants to be going over that line early. That means instant disqualification, and everyone's been pretty good with that. It looks like there's a real bias here. Most people going off on starboard tack. You can see a couple of the guys there out on port, but yeah, way different to what we've seen before. And that looks like the start there. Look at that. I love to see that.
That's wicked. Will Ziegler, what a start. Right down that committee boat end, but also punching out France 16. Is that? I think that might be Louis. I'm pretty sure it is Louis. Also putting in a great start there. Oh, Vidar down that bottom end. Sweden.
Oh, bit of a hustle there going on. One of the guys on port tack had to really kind of put the brakes on and let the ones on starboard tack go above him. Really difficult there for that rider. You know, it's one of those things. It's the risk you take when you want to go off on port tack. You know, is it going to work? As we see, I think that was Pavel there going for his first tack, so opting to tack a lot earlier than everyone else. You can see what you were talking about earlier, Rafferty, you know, holding on to that uphole there with the front hand. You can see loads of the riders doing that. By doing that, it kind of presents a bit more of the sail to the wind, means they can really maximize as much power as possible. Of course, that power then transferring into speed, which is, of course, ideally what we're looking for when it comes to racing.
It certainly is, and someone who's showing exactly how to do that was Yun. He had a really good start down that up near that committee boat. It was France 16. It was Yun actually instead, but a top start from Yun there. Hopefully he will be able to hold that. I can't quite make him out here. Maybe he's tacked off already. A lot of these riders deciding to tack off straight away. Now, where is that lane line? We can see off onto the top of our screens. It's looking like it's a lot windier up there. Maybe those riders will be coming out on stop. I guess we're going to see when they all converge towards that upwind mark.
Absolutely, yeah, really impressive there performances. And then this is what we usually see. We see a bit of a starburst going on here now, so everyone kind of splitting off a little bit. You can see there's quite a bit of distance between most of the riders as they start making their way. Beautiful shot here, making their way up towards it. You can really see the course is massive, isn't it? As they're making their way up towards that top mark, then they will be making their way down, going down towards the gate. So at the downwind side, they have two options. They can either round that to port or to starboard, and that's generally, we also see a pretty even split there, don't we? You know, they tend to decide which way they want to go round, and then before making their way back up for one last time up towards that last mark rounding. And that's usually where we tend to get a bit of a sense of who's going to be coming into that top 5, or certainly that's been the trend today. Oh, a bit of a close cut there for those guys there on port tack.
Certainly is, but France 7, Adrian Mestre. What a race he's having so far. We saw in the previous one, probably not the one he was hoping for, but now straight back up in that first place. It's very close between Netherlands 55 Luke and also Adrian, so we are going to see at that top mark who will be taking
as you said lead. Yeah, as you said, Adrian having a bit of a shocker in that last race. You know, he'll definitely not be too happy with that, and he'll be looking to really kind of amend those mistakes going into this one. Just quickly, Rafty, can you talk us through? So obviously all of the sails we're seeing, they're largely uniform, you know, all kind of one design, but on the screen right now we've got, and you can see in the background there's a couple of different ones, these kind of different designs. Can you talk us through why we're seeing one sails that look slightly different, that don't have the sort of Severn livery on them?
Indeed. So I'm pretty sure that was Hidde Vandermeer from Netherlands right there, rocking the Patrick sail. So in the IQ class, it can be it's basically a white project. So anyone, any brand can come into the IQ class and start producing this equipment, put their sick graphics on it, and sell a lot of equipment. So that's the really cool thing. We'll be seeing some more kind of variation in equipment, which is really cool. So if you'd like to get involved, do check out the iQFOiL website and send in a message, and you can definitely get involved and see your equipment out on the waters in these iQFOiL events. And we also see some difference in boards now. Actually, we're seeing the Patrick board, we're seeing the Starboard board, and we're also seeing the Olympic board, which is also a slightly different colour, different graphics, fresh from Paris 2024. So if you can spy it out within these races, it's blue on the front. It's similar to the Starboard colour, but then at the back it's nice and pink, which is a pretty lovely little pink going on there, and that fit with just the overall colours of Paris 2024, which was really cool to see actually. But here we are, Italy 5 coming into that upwind mark. I can't quite make out. I think that is Luca Di Tommaso. I mean, it looks black, that bib on the screen, but yeah, no, it is indeed Luca Di Tommaso coming into this upwind mark in that first place. It looks like maybe it's dropped off a little bit. Maybe it's at that 10 knot mark, 10 knot wind range that we saw at the minute. But as they may make their way downwind, they might be seeing maybe a 20 knot gust come through. In that second place position, Manolo Modena, both Italians repping it up for the country. The host people, you know, they're from Italy. We're in.
Absolutely, yeah. Really interesting what just happened to Luc van Opzielen there. He went straight from first all the way down to... Luca Di Tommaso just kind of came on screen, just having a bit of a drag race, enjoying the vibe. Yeah, it does definitely, you're right, Rafty, it does look like the wind has dropped off a bit. The water's definitely got a lot flatter there. So yeah, it could be just as we get towards the end of the day. We're just coming up on 5:10 here local time. So yeah, Manolo Modena there, 5 medal races, highest event finish, second place. So he's no stranger to the medal races. So yeah, he'll be looking to really cement his position there. But Luca Di Tommaso has been leading this event. Bit of a touchdown there.
Oh God, he's maybe got something on the foil there. God blimey, he was right on the edge there. That was danger zone, because Luca was right to the leeward of him. Luckily there was no crash going. Yeah, it could have been a very fruity one indeed, but no. Manolo Modena, he knows how to do it. He knows how to handle the power and hold that second position overall. But shout out Duncan Monaghan, GBR 18, having a corker of a race so far, currently in 4th place position. Luke's dropped down to that 6th place. Bernat in 7th, Finland 8 in 8th, Turkey 399 9th. Jarvit having a very good race, and also Andy in 10th again. Hopefully he can stay inside.
Absolutely. Andy currently sitting in 10th place overall as well. So yeah, if he can hold on to this, he could well see himself up into the medal races. He's right on the edge there. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on in this race as well. But yeah, Luc van Opzielen dropped down into 6th place there. I wonder what happened as they went round that top mark there. But it looks like these guys very much ahead of everyone else. I mean, look at the board speed on Manolo Modena. Just went over 27 knots there. Incredible. I mean, as you said, in 11 to 18 knots of wind. I mean, they must be in 18 at the moment, I would say.
Probably in that 18 knot mark, as they do a kind of synchronised jibe
that's what you love to see.
Towards that bottom gate. Will they be going off onto the right side or onto the left side of the course? I mean, they're currently on track to go off onto the right side. Well, our right side if we're thinking about it here. Oh, cool, blimey. Israel
Sneaking in there.
coming straight into it.
Oh, crash! Come on, goes down.
Oh, God,
catapult
blimey.
there. As soon as he went to initiate the jibe. Is that Manolo?
Oh,
I think
God.
it's Manolo.
Oh,
yeah, it's
no.
Manolo. Oh, heartbreaking.
Oh, balls.
And
no
look
fun.
at that, Pavel straight round the jibe there, snuck in down in front of Luca Di Tomasi. Whoa,
That was rather cheeky.
just goes to show things can change like that. Within 2 seconds, suddenly everything changes. Pavel, sneaky little jibe there. Here's the replay there.
Oh, what does he do?
I think he just breached the foil there.
Just tops out. Holy moly. God blimey. Hopefully he's all right. It looked like not a mega one. I mean, it certainly stopped him dead. Stopped him right in his tracks, unfortunately. Hopefully he will be straight back up onto his equipment and hopefully holding inside that top 10. But yeah, look. Is Italy 27. He's right back up onto the foil, 50 knots. He's now making his way upwind in that 6th place position. But yeah, indeed, Pavel having an absolute wicked downwinder and snatching the lead.
Really impressive there. I mean, when we were just focusing on the 2 Italian riders, you could see Pavel was kind of just behind them and sneaking around, but he just took a really good line there and just did that really tight jibe, managed to just sneak up in front of Luca Di Tomasi. And yeah, now he's in the lead as they make their way back up to the top mark for the final time. So yeah, Luke van Opzeeland has certainly made some ground as well. We can see him on screen there, looking like he's sitting in 4th place currently. Obviously, according to this, he's in 1st place, but it's very difficult to tell as with the tracking as they make their way up, because obviously they're going to be crossing over quite a lot.
But he's had a cracking mark rounding as
Brilliant.
He is indeed the highest upwind at the minute. So these riders will be having to cross. I think is that Thomas and the. Is that Israel 30? I can't quite make it out. But yeah, Luke has made up a little bit of ground. But all these riders, both Pavel, is it Israel? Yes, it is Thomas Vardemon and also Luca Di Tomasi. Also Luke in there. What? God blimey, what a stacked little shot. This is
Just
stacked.
shows how things have just changed so quickly. Really, really impressive from these guys. But yeah, Pavel Tarnowski having an absolute run here. Super, super impressive. You know, just that sneaky mark rounding. And now he's really managing to hold his ground, you know, from the rest of them. Just making some really great decisions in terms of the transitions, the tacks and the jibes. And let's see how he does as he makes his way up to that top mark again.
Pavel taking a little bit of a lead going on here. Thomas Vardemon just deciding to tack off a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he's a bit further downwind than the rest of them, isn't he? He's going to have to make up a bit of ground. I mean, still, again, if he finds himself a little header, a little lift, a good gust, he could find himself up there. As we've said throughout the day, we've definitely seen a lot of people kind of almost overshooting the top mark as well. So, you know, potentially Tomar's kind of looking at that. Maybe he's realised that after the last race. So, yeah, it's still very much all to play for. We can't put anything in stone right now.
No, yeah, as we've seen in previous races, anything can happen. There can be a cheeky little gust. There can be a cheeky little lift, and Thomas might even make that mark. There is a possibility for him to even take the lead, but Pavel is putting himself in a very good position, a good defensive position to hopefully hold his lead in this race, this final race here on day number 5 of the European Championships, closely followed by both of those Italians though. Oh, no. Sorry, yeah, I remembered Manolo had a little whoopsie down at the bottom, unfortunately, but he's still making it back. Just had a little update. Mark 1 here at the top mark. It's around 9 knots, so it's definitely dropped off a little bit on that lower end. Really trying to take every little bit of power from the wind and transfer that into speed and angle on the racecourse.
Absolutely. Pavel Tarnowski on your screen here, looking like, yeah, you can see he's quite a bit further upwind of Tomar. They're both on a similar line. It looks like potentially, I mean, it's hard to tell, but I think they're making their way towards the mark now. 6 medal races, highest event finish. He's finished first before. He started the day in 6th place. So can he improve on that? I think he already has. So yeah, I mean, if he can come away with this, he could really see himself climbing up. And of course, if he goes from 6th up into like 2nd or 3rd, that's only going to make his day way easier tomorrow and guarantee him a podium, if not a medal.
Certainly so. But Tomo Vardamon, he has really made his way upwind. Where is that upwind mark? It is all down to this mark. Will he be on the right line? There it is in the background. Look how close Tomo Vardamon is going to be. Will he be able to make it? Look at that pumping. Look at the gain in upwind he has got from that pumping. He's going to be working extremely hard as possible to make it. And has he made it? Can't quite see, but Pavel,
he did, yep.
Yes, he did indeed. Oh, right on the low end of that foil. But he has shown us exactly how to do it. But Luke is really attacking now, really trying to make up get some room towards that top 3. There's Luca Di Tomasi, Italy 5. Look at that shot. He is just cranking.
Absolutely, they're letting the outhaul off as they make their way further downwind, bagging the sail out a little bit more, getting as much power as he can. Here we see him getting around his first little jibe here. Yeah, the wind has definitely dropped off, hasn't it? Look how the water's just so much flatter than it was earlier as well. As we can see the rest of the pack slowly making their way round that top mark. You can see different techniques going on here, just making it round there.
Adrian just making that mark. Is he inside that top 10? Yes, he's 7th overall. There's Bernat coming through as well, but going back to Luca Di Tomasi in that orange bib as he came into today leading overall. Will he be leading by the end of the day? It's looking like maybe not, but he hopefully will be still inside of that top 10. So he still gets a shot at getting that 2024 European title.
Absolutely. I think going into today, it was Adrian leading. But again, he's not had the best day either, coming in at 18th in the last race. So, yeah, not ideal at all for them. So, it's been a bit of a mixed bag today. And I think it's really going to see the rankings, the top 10 going into tomorrow, just changing up a little bit. One person that will basically guaranteed to find themselves in there is Pavel Tarnowski. I mean, looking at the board speed, he's got a couple of knots on everybody else, 24.6 knots. Obviously, he's very firmly making his way back downwind. He's already done his second upwind, so he will go down through the gate, round the mark, and then it will be that reach across to the finish line. Looks like he's got quite a bit of distance between himself and the rest of the pack as well. So, yeah, I mean, this is a very, very good run from him. Really, really great mark rounding at the bottom last time. Just managing to sneak round Luca Di Tomasi there. Obviously, Manolo Modena, heartbreaking, just had that big catapult, but really impressive. He's managed to carry on, his kind of top 10 campaign. He's still sitting in 6th place. You can see on the left-hand side. So really, really impressive. He's managed to keep himself up there.
But go on, Dunks. Still in that 5th position. Go on, lad, and he's getting it. Manolo Modena in that 6th place, just behind him. They're all at around that 23 to 25 knots mark. I mean, in one of the previous downwinds, we saw Manolo, I think he pushed 27 knots, I think it was.
It's crazy.
So, it has dropped quite a lot, but still, they're going extremely fast.
Bernat, I think, position 8, just hit 27 knots as well.
God blimey.
Yeah.
And there is Pavel, got a very tasty lead towards the finish now. He just had a little look back. Do I need to defend, or do I need to defend or just enjoy it? And he is just enjoying it now due to his huge lead within this final race here on day number 5, and he is happy. Hand up, Pavel Tarnowski taking the win on this final race here on day number 5. Tomo Vardamon 2nd place, and that is Luke Van Opsieland in that 3rd, and in 4th it is Luca Di Tomasi.
Really, really interesting top 4 there coming through. But Pavel Tarnowski, what a great performance there on that last race of the day. He'll be really, really stoked going to jump on the boat there. That's his coach there. They'll be very, very pleased with that one. Yeah, a bit of a handshake there, Stoke. All the stoke there for Pavel. Yeah, super impressive performance. As I said, it was great to chat to him yesterday and get a bit more of a sense of kind of who he is, and the fact that he's here with his family and he's very much just here to enjoy it. And I think that's very much a reason for why he's performing so well. He's in that relaxed flow state, and it's definitely been great to see that kind of paying off for him. Just that bottom mark rounding was just so great from him. Really impressive. And there it is.
Well in.
Love for the kids.
Oh, he's still got his kids in one family. What a legend. Top lad. And he's showing it. He's showing us how it's done, isn't it? And there is that start. punching out. Yun having a really good start on that Patrick board. France 16 in the middle, all going off on start. But still some riders. I see Geronimo, Mexico, going off on that port side. Some people giving it a go to fly all of them, but didn't quite manage to do it. But it was some of the riders on that starboard who came into that mark in that first place. Luca Di Tomasi leading into that upwind mark, that first upwind.
Absolutely, things changed an awful lot after this, didn't they?
Oh,
you can see here just a bit of a duck there. Seemed to happen to Manolo a lot. I mean, maybe like took a little chunk out of his foil or something. I'm not too sure, but yeah. And then as they made their way down towards it, this was the heartbreaking moment where he just had that catapult here. And there it is, down like a sack of potatoes. Goes down.
Oh, poor dude.
Yeah,
poor dude.
But I mean, he recovered so quickly, and it looks like, I mean, we'll wait for confirmation, but I think he, managing to come across the line within the top 10 after a catapult like that is really impressive recovery there. And then Pavel Tarnowski snuck round as well during that. Within literally 2 seconds, so much happened at that bottom mark. Pavel Tarnowski managing to take the lead there and basically hold it for the rest of the race, through that upwind and that last downwind leg. Really impressive, as you can see him on screen there. Great work there from Pavel Tarnowski. And Luca Di Tomasi there as well, managing to hopefully hold on to his position right up at the top of that top 10.
Indeed, but there we are, Pavel Tarnowski going towards that finish, showing us all exactly how to win the last race here on day number 5. And let's go to a quick interview to Pavel on the water.
Tell me a couple of words about this.
Oh, what a great race. Super physical and very tactical, as you could have seen. Just as the first race of today, it was super tricky to have a proper start. I chose the right side of the start to just, be able to control the fleet as much as I can, and then just waited for a first gas to tack and go tactically to the right side, because this was rather in favor on this course area, which paid off actually. There was a huge shift in the wind, and I think you just had to be super ready for this change, and you had to be ready to claim these top positions. I'm super happy to have been in top 3 after the first race. Just before the gate of the first loop, I made a nice jibe inside, came to lead the race, and kept it until the end. So I'm super happy. We had much more flat water here, so it was fun, it was fast, and I just feel great. Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Pavel there. He's just full of energy, isn't he? He just seems he's so excited to be here with the family, enjoying it. And this is the results from men's race 11. Pavel Tarnowski in first place, Tomer Vardemon second, Luke van Opzielen pulling it back, coming into third place. But I got to say, MVP Manolo Modena in sixth place after that huge catapult, managing to pull it back and come away in sixth. Really impressive. Bernat sitting in 8th. Just as well coming in 9th, so another top 10 for him as well.
Yeah, another great race to finish up day number 5, and it was wicked. Let's have a look at the men's ranking current standings going into tomorrow. I don't think this is completely confirmed. Obviously we're due to that one race missing, and also we do have protests, but it's looking like Pavel is definitely going into tomorrow in that 1st place position, as he won that last race. Adrian in that 2nd place. Luca Di Tomasi just dropping a little bit to that 3rd place. Matt in 6th, Finn in 4th, and Joost really moving up to 5th place.
Absolutely, and then Andy Brown finishing off the top 10 in 10th position as well. Be interesting to see. I think he came 10th in the last race as well, so hopefully that should keep him up in there. But yeah, really interesting change up going on here. Manolo Modena as well, getting away with it. Really impressive performance from him, recovering from that catapult, and hopefully, I think with the 6th position, he'll definitely hold on to his spot up in the top 10. So yeah, a really interesting day. Pavel Tarnowski, amazing performance from him to get himself up into that 1st position. And then of course Adrian Mestre holding on to it as well. We'll see what happens after the last race as well, but I mean, he didn't have a great one. And then next up, we have the fully up-to-date women's rankings as well after today's day of racing. So yeah, Maya Giesler sitting in first. Really impressive performance from her.
That is sick. Maya going into tomorrow, guaranteeing herself a place on that podium. That is just sick, isn't it? I mean, she just came from the under 23 World Championships on that podium, I'm pretty sure, and now she's guaranteed herself a place on that podium for tomorrow at the Senior European Championships. Tamar moving up into second. Also one of the younger people within the fleet, Daniela Peleg in third place. So those three have guaranteed themselves, those two have guaranteed themselves a place on that top 5.
Absolutely, yeah. Isla Watson, bit of a difficult day for her, dropping down into 6th, but still in the medal series, still guaranteed to be going through into tomorrow. Has a little bit more work on her hands, but yeah, hopefully we'll still be rising to the challenge as we make our way into the top 10. And with that, let's look to tomorrow, Rafferty, the medal races. So they are the top 10s. As I said, that men's final rankings, that is not confirmed up until the last one. But that is it for today's action. Before we move into tomorrow, stay tuned. The forecast looks good for tomorrow. Hopefully we're going to have similar conditions to today as we move into the medal series. Stay on social media at iQFOiL Class, where you can catch up with all the behind-the-scenes action. We will be dropping the highlights from today's action later on this evening as well. So yeah, make sure you stay glued to all that. And thank you very much for viewing. We've really enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for the action tomorrow. We will see you then, and please enjoy some of the highlights from today's racing.